Game one of the American League Championship Series. The Red Sox have taken the field, and all eyes will be on Roger Clemens. Jim Cott, why don't you take us around and check how the Red Sox will play the A's defensively today?
Wow, they're getting ready to play baseball. I don't think their feet touch the ground running out there. Mike Greenwell will be in left field. And then over in center, Ellis Burks. This is a customary Red Sox lineup almost every day. Tom Brunansky over in right field. Then on the infield, Wade Boggs, who's become an excellent third baseman. Luis Rivera is the shortstop. Jody Reed at second base. And Carlos Quintana, first year he's played at first, he's done an excellent job. Behind the plate, one of the leaders of this ball club, Tony Pena. And on the mound, the Rocket, Roger Clemens.
And he had the best earned run average in the American League, 1.93, starting 31 games. This is the batting order he'll face for the Oakland A's. Rickey Henderson leading off in left field. Willie McGee gets the call in center field. Dave Henderson not 100%. Jose Canseco batting third in right field. Harold Baines, the DH, batting cleanup. Carney Lansford, the former Red Sox third baseman, will be batting in the fifth slot. Terry Steinbach, the catcher, hitting sixth. Mark McGuire at first base, batting seventh. Walt Weiss, the shortstop, hitting eighth. And Tony La Russa deciding to go with the glove of Mike Gallego over the veteran Willie Randolph, the second base, batting ninth. So Gallego is batting in the number 9 slot. Rich Garcia will call balls and strikes. John Hirschbeck will umpire at first base. Jim Evans will be at second base. Terry Cooney will be over at third. And down the left field line will be Vic Voltaggio, and Larry McCoy will be the umpire in right.
You mentioned Clemens' low ERA, Dick, and what's significant about that, since the designated hitter came into the American League, 1973, there have only been 2 pitchers for an entire season that kept their ERA under 2. Roger Clemens and Ron Guidry back in 1978.
We told you it's a beautiful night for baseball. Not quite a full moon, but 74 degrees as the temperature has risen. And check that wind from center to left at 24 miles per hour. So you get a high lofting fly ball here, and that could carry.
Yeah, if you get it airborne, but of course we're talking about a pitching staff that gives up very few home runs. Kind of a misconception about Fenway Park. This is not really conducive to home runs. It's more of a doubles park off that monster you're looking at.
That's the 37-foot left field wall, the green monster. Down the left field line, it's 315 feet. And a lot of close plays down the line. Not too much room in foul territory. 420 to deep center, and that's where they have that almost right angle near one of the bullpens. A lot of nooks and crannies here at Fenway Park, and the ball can play havoc. And in right field, 380 in right field, and if you pull the ball down the line, you have a good shot. So here's Pena and Clemens. And Jim, we know that Clemens came back with 6 shutout innings after missing nearly a month. Now what happens in his second appearance? He really didn't let it out all since that last week.
No, and he's the kind of guy that will not let you know exactly how he feels. Early on in this game, pay close attention to his control and his fastball. If he goes to a lot of fork balls, then the velocity might not be there.
Rickey Henderson. No one has had as much impact in the game offensively as this man. Missed out on the batting title. Fell too short of Lou Brock's career stolen base mark. Leading off against Roger Clemens. And the first pitch of the game swung on and popped up to short right field. Tom Brunansky moving over. Loses his hat, makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 out. Brunansky with some sensational sliding catches down the stretch, including the one that ended the game that wrapped up the American League East for the Red Sox last Wednesday night against Chicago. Here's Willie McGee, who won the National League batting title at 335. One of the big acquisitions this season. Switch hitter, swings and misses on a good fastball. Foul tip into the glove of Pena. McGee won it.
Willie McGee won it while playing the last month in the American League. He's got a teammate, Rick Honeycutt, out in the Oakland bullpen that did the same thing with the earned run average title.
On the corner, 0-2 the count to McGee.
Rick Honeycutt was a member of the Texas Rangers and in September traded to the Dodgers years ago, and he won the American League earned run average title the same way McGee won the batting title.
Took something off the pitch. Pena will fire on down to Quintana, but it's a strikeout for Clemens, and there are 2 down.
Well, you always watch that front shoulder of Roger Clemens. If it flies open too soon, that's when he develops that tendonitis in the shoulder. But he keeps it closed and drives right toward Tony Pena, the catcher. Nothing wrong with that control right there to Willie McGee, right on the corner, knee high.
Here's Jose Canseco. Despite back injuries, had a pretty impressive season when you look at 37 homers and 101 RBIs. 2 down, nobody on base. First pitch fastball in for a strike. The infield and outfield playing deep and straight away. One ball and 1 strike to Jose. Canseco comes into this game hitting only .107 lifetime against Boston pitching. Misses outside. 2-1.
What a wide open stance Canseco is taking right here. Now you would think with that stance he'd want to get something inside and pull it up in the net, but watch the stride. See, he'll stride into the ball from that open stance.
Fastball and a fly ball to right field. Bernansky is there, and a 1-2-3 inning for Roger Clemens. The Red Sox stop the A's. Oakland nothing. Boston coming to bat. Now let's see how the A's will line up defensively against the Red Sox, Jim.
Rickey Henderson in left field, Willie McGee in center, and Jose Canseco over and right. On the infield, Lansford, Weiss, Gallego, and McGuire. Terry Steinbach does the catching. 22-game winner Dave Stewart on the mound.
And there's the Red Sox lineup. Reed, Quintana, Boggs hitting third. Ellis Burks the cleanup hitter. Then comes Mike Greenwell in left. White Evans the DH. Tom Bernansky in right field. Tony Pena the catcher. Luis Rivera the shortstop. And facing Dave Stewart, 22-11 on the year. And the first pitch to Reed is a pitch taken for ball 1.
Dave Stewart, a 3-pitch pitcher, good forkball, and his nickname in his early days, Smoke, so you know he's got a good fastball and also a good curve.
He has won his last 8 decisions against the Red Sox for this season. And a pop-up and a play for third baseman Carney Lansford, and there's one away. So Jody Reed, who has been a steadying influence for the Red Sox all year, with a comfortable position at second base, is retired. 1 out. And here is Carlos Quintana, who is hitting above 300 most of this season. Won the first base battle. And a good hitter going to the opposite field. Hitting .375 against Dave Stewart. Fastball is bounced foul.
A lot of talk about how important game 1 is to both of these ball clubs. Look at the death stare of Dave Stewart. That's a game face right there. That's been on since about 4 o'clock this afternoon.
The 0-1 pitch is a fastball inside. Dave Duncan, the pitching coach of the A's, really turned Stewart around. Of course, he taught him that forkball. Before that, Stewart was basically a 1-pitch pitcher. 2-1.
Forkball right there. Mentioned the importance of this game, and the reason I think that game 1 is so important. If Clemens could beat Stewart, something he's been unable to do, now that gives the Red Sox an advantage in game 3.
Ground ball, short hopped at third by Lansford. Over to McGuire, and they're 2 down.
Why do they have an advantage? They've got Mike Boddicker coming back against Mike Moore for the A's, who has not had a particularly good year. We'll look at Stewart's big hit. All the great pitchers have that leg kick where they show the hitter their hip pocket, and then that front leg and shoulder drives right toward the hitter. The other thing game 1 would do for the Red Sox is it assures Roger Clemens of getting another start. That's very comforting to the whole ball club as well as the other starters in that staff.
Here's Wade Boggs. Many would consider it a banner year, hitting .302, but for Boggs, it was an off season. He is still bothered by the back problem, as Jim Gray reported earlier. One of his worst seasons at the plate. 1-0 pitch to him is in there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike to Boggs. In their last meeting, Stewart gave Boggs nothing but fastballs away. Out over the plate, and it's fouled back by Wade.
And that's what he's doing right here. The A's shift Boggs, as most teams do, just slightly around toward the wall out in left field. And it's the old pitch him up and away and play him that way.
Outfield shaded around to the left for Boggs. Swings and misses, and he strikes out in a 1-2-3 inning. Stewart chalks up a strikeout. And after one inning here in Game 1 at Fenway Park, there's no score. Each team was retired in order in the first inning, and now the A's coming up in the second inning with their cleanup hitter, Harold Baines. He cleared waivers and was picked up in the beginning of August, ending a search that the A's were looking for a left-handed designated hitter, 300 hitter with power, and he has been murder against Roger Clemens throughout his career.
And such a productive designated hitter. Here's a guy who may have cost Larry Himes, at the time the general manager of the White Sox, his job. The White Sox passed on him, and the A's got him.
Clemens' first pitch to Baines. Fastball up and away, ball one. Let's check the coaches for the A's. At third base, familiar face here in Boston, Rene Lachemann, who took a lot of heat when he was here under John McNamara, the manager. And Dave McKay is over at first. Fouled away off to the left in the count. Ball and a strike.
Yeah, third base coaches are kind of like umpires. If you don't hear much about them, they're doing a good job. But in Fenway Park, so much more pressure on a third base coach trying to score a guy from second base with a short left field.
2 balls and a strike to Baines. Played, of course, with the Texas Rangers and the Chicago White Sox, hitting over 300 against Clemens. Lifetime. Fastball in for the strike, and during batting practice, he was pulling the ball down that short right field line.
Which is why you saw that last pitch from Roger Clemens. They will try to stick it right on the outside corner to Harold Baines, or otherwise they'll bust it way in on him. You get it anywhere in that other part of the zone, and that's what he'll do with that pitch, is pull it down the line.
Here's the 2-2 offering, fouled at the plate. Sandy Alderson has done a marvelous job for the Oakland A's, giving Tony La Russa the people he needs. For example, the A's lost 3 players in key roles from a year ago. Dave Parker, Tony Phillips, Storm Davis, who had 119. They added Baines, Willie McGee, and Scott Sanderson, who could appear as a starter in this series.
Yeah, really the only player from last year's team they have not been able to replace capably would be Tony Phillips, utility infielder.
Breaking ball, and slowly hit. Clemens is there, and the underhands it to Quintana, one away here in the second inning. Game 1 tonight. Tomorrow night here at Fenway Park, game 2, and then the series after a travel day will move out to Oakland for games 3 and 4. 3 o'clock Eastern time, game 5. Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and then if necessary after 5, 6, and 7 next weekend here at Fenway Park. Carney Lansford with 1 out in the second inning takes the strike. Good velocity so far by Clemens. 92 miles per hour on that pitch. Lansford, former Red Sox third baseman, won a batting title here 9 years ago. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Boy, look at that. Pitchers love a low target. Now, when Tony Pena came up, he got accused of showboating because of that position. But pitchers like a low target like that. Obviously, with men on base, you can't get in that position.
Pena in his familiar sit-down stance behind the plate. Pitch is up high, 2-1.
You mentioned Lansford, a former batting champion, and a lot of unusual characteristics. Most of the time, good hitters are quiet hitters, but look at all the movement in the hands and the body of Carney Lansford.
Here's the 2-1 pitch to him. Fastball, and it's popped up. Quintana has a play. Coming over is Reed, calls him off, and Jody Reed makes the catch in fair territory. And we have 2 away here in the A's second inning. The A's had intended to let Clemens show what he could do, maybe throw a lot of pitches, and so far they have offered at some of the early pitches from Clemens and not following Tony La Russa's plan.
I would say the most surprising at bat was Rickey Henderson swinging at the first pitch of the ball game.
Here's Terry Steinbach with 2 away here in the top of the second inning. Fastball, strike 1 from Clemens.
You know, in addition to taking a lot of pitches off Clemens. Tony La Russa says you got to go up there and compete against this guy like it's the most important at bat of your life.
One ball and one strike. People are still amazed at how Roger Clemens, after not pitching from September 4th until September 29th, was able to come out and pitch 6 shutout innings against the Blue Jays last Saturday.
Nobody knows pitchers better than their pitching coaches, and what Bill Fisher remarked on that day a week ago Saturday when Clemens pitched against the Blue Jays told you a lot about him.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. High fastball fouled back up into the press area.
Old Fish, before that game a week ago Saturday, I said, what do you think? Is he going to go to the mound with all the speculation? He said, hey, he'll warm up, but he said, I just don't see there's any chance he can pitch the way I've seen him. And afterwards, Fish said, if he's walking on the Charles River, I'll believe it. He can do anything.
Crowd looking for the strikeout with 1 ball and 2 strikes. Setting up on the outside part of the plate, and a line drive down the right field line is fouled. Steinbach catching tonight, but Ron Hasse likely will be behind the plate tomorrow when Bob Welsh will take his 27-6 record against Dana Kicker. Dana Kicker, the 5th starter this year, gets the call tomorrow. Mike Boddicker slated to go in Game 3 on Tuesday. Knocks him out on a fastball. Second strikeout for Roger Clemens. Another 1-2-3 inning. Red Sox coming up in the bottom of the 2nd inning. We have not had a base runner yet here at Fenway Park. About 35,000 fans here, and for the Red Sox it'll be Ellis Burks, Mike Greenwell, and Dwight Evans against Dave Stewart. Here's Burks, native of Vicksburg, Mississippi, and considered the best all-around player on the Red Sox. His 21 home runs were a career high for him this season.
Look at that look right there. That's a 4-season 20-game winner.
Starts him out with the breaking ball, in for the strike. Al Bunbury, the former Oriole fly chaser, is coaching over at first base, and over at third, one of the great baseball names, Rack Slider. Fly ball down the left field line, maybe out of play, and it is out of play. Chasing it was Walt Weiss. Gave it a good run, though.
You mentioned that baseball name, Rack Slider. You'd think he'd have been a pitcher with a name like Slider, but he's a former minor league infielder. Here's another one of the little characteristics of Fenway Park. Weiss is only about 3 feet into foul territory, and he's going to go up in the stands after that one. Not in Fenway Park. He's not going to come away with that ball.
The anchor of an outstanding Oakland infield, Walt Weiss. No balls and 2 strikes to Ellis Burks. Check swing off the fist. You name it, whether it's producing runs or base running. Terrific outfielder. Very little he can't do.
As you said, their best all-around player.
Fastball, and he's gone. Second strikeout for Stewart. 1 away.
You mentioned, Dick, that Dave Stewart, with the help of Dave Duncan, is now a more complete pitcher. He still has the smoke. You see it right there, the Stewart fastball and the stare and the control. But what's made him that effective pitcher is the forkball. When Duncan first saw it, he said, hey, that's a pretty good pitch. Use it more often. He told the catcher, call that thing 25, 30 pitches a game next time out.
1 away to Mike Greenwell. Fastball on the corner. Greenwell, considered the best pure hitter on the club, but his ankle injury was part of the reason why he got off to a miserable start, and now he wears that sort of brace on that ankle. He takes the ball 1-1.
That's kind of a little bit of irony there. Mickey Cobb, the trainer for the Kansas City Royals, it was Mickey Cobb's son that recommended that brace to Mike Greenwell earlier in the season.
And it's popped up. Second baseman Mike Gallego handles it, and there are 2 gone here in the 2nd inning. Located in the Back Bay section of Boston, this is Fenway Park in Boston. One of the great old-time parks. Game 1 of the American League Championship Series between the favored Oakland Athletics, the defending world champions, and the Boston Red Sox. No score. Dick Stockton and Jim Cott with you. We have not had a base runner. 2 down here in the bottom of the 2nd inning, and here's Dwight Evans, who will turn 39 years old in November. Bad back has limited him to designated hitter duty all season long. 1-0.
Look at those names right there. Now, you'd never guess that Dwight Evans is up there in the 2 slot with those Hall of Famers and great players like Jim Rice.
You know, back in 1975, and people were talking about possible future Hall of Famers, everyone knew Carl Yastrzemski would be there, but they thought Jim Rice and Fred Lynn, Carlton Fisk and Dwight Evans are as big a candidates as anyone.
Yeah, you don't survive in this game without making adjustments. And when you look at unusual batting stance from Evans, you see how he's a man of a lot of different stances.
3 balls and no strikes.
I would look for him to have the green light if it's there.
In for the strike, 3-1. Evans, a great outfielder, 8 gold gloves, most ever by a Red Sox player. On the corner for strike 2, and the count is full now to Evans with 2 out.
Evans is a zone hitter. You can see he didn't want to hit on 3-0, and then 3-1 he's looking for something inside.
Here's the 3-2 pitch to Evans. Fastball fouled out of play.
See, he stays up on that front toe to try to keep the weight back. Evans' main problem, especially with the bad back, is lunging.
He is on Stewart's fastball, and Stewart giving him nothing but a steady diet of heat.
Well, I think the Boston hitters know when there's nobody on base and early in the ballgame, Dave Stewart is going to challenge him most of the time.
Lansford playing Evans to pull deep at 3rd. Here's the 3-2 pitch again, and another foul ball.
I mentioned Stewart's change in pitching style, and after Duncan said throw that forkball more often, as much as you see that stare right there on Stewart's face, he almost had to put his glove over his face to keep from grinning the success he had with that forkball.
And that pitch is low, ball 4. Evans hung in there and draws a walk, and he's the first base runner of the game.
He started getting hitters out with that pitch so often and so easily. He said, man, this is nice. This is fun.
Well, here's a big hero as of late here in Boston. Tom Brunansky, who had not delivered the long ball that the Red Sox had expected when they acquired him from the Cardinals for reliever Lee Smith, but lately he has been bashing the ball out of here. 2 out. Evans, the runner at first, cuts and misses on a fastball up, strike 1.
And that's exactly where they will try to pitch Tom Brunansky this entire series. If you get the fastball down around the thighs like the Blue Jays did, that's when he'll come up with those 3 home run games. You got to keep it above the belt.
In the air to center field, Willie McGee calls for it and makes the catch, and the wind took that onto the warning track. And McGee, who has not played that many games at Fenway Park, 3 to be exact, had some trouble. The Red Sox lead 1. Scoreless game as we move to the 3rd. Roger Clemens and Dave Stewart, zeros on the board. It'll be the bottom 3rd of the A's batting order. Mark McGwire. How'd you like to have a hitter hitting number 7 who hits 39 homers and drives in 108 runs?
That's what's so impressive when you look up and down the stat sheet of this Oakland ball club, and it's hard to believe that really the strength of this team is their defense and their bullpen.
Pitch is inside. Clemens so far has struck out 1 batter in each of the first 2 innings. 1 in 6 lifetime in his matchups with Dave Stewart. Fouls it out of play.
You see Pena's target a little bit higher there, even though he's sitting down. And McGwire on the A's team is like Brunansky for the Red Sox. They will try to keep that fastball above the belt. When you get it down, that's when he can lift it and take it up in the net.
He has really struggled against Roger Clemens. Has only 2 hits and 28 trips in his career, and has struck out 10 times. So Clemens has had McGuire's number. 2 balls and a strike. The last right-handed batter who hit a home run against Roger Clemens was Jose Canseco. That was September 15th a year ago.
Unbelievable.
2-1 pitch up high and falls behind. McGuire 3-1.
Here's the man that did it. Not 100% coming into this game, Jose Canseco, with the back injury. See, now here's where McGuire will try to discipline himself and say, get a fastball down in the zone. If it's above the belt, take it. Take a chance on drawing ball 4.
Here's the 3-1. Swung on and a fly ball to right field. Bernansky coming in. That was more to McGuire's liking as Clemens got that pitch down. But there's one away here in inning number 3. And that'll bring up Walt Weiss.
That tells you a lot about Clemens' ability. 3-1 count. McGuire gets the low fastball. He's still late on it. That's the extra velocity. And of course, keeping the ball away from McGuire, not allowing him to pull it.
Here's switch hitting Walt Weiss. Takes a breaking ball down. Weiss, who's had some bruised ribs, a brilliant fielder, has really worked to become a good hitter. Those are the intangible players on a club that help him win. On the corner for strike 1-1.
Here's a guy that hides down near the bottom of that lineup, and yet when you watch a lot of Oakland A's games, when it's close in the late innings, this guy picks up as many clutch RBIs as anybody. Doesn't get a lot of them, but they're at key times.
On the corner, 1 ball and 2 strikes to the American League's Rookie of the Year 2 seasons ago. 1 out. Bases are clear. The A's batting in the top of the 3rd inning scoreless. Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Ground and foul, and game 2 coming your way tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern time from Fenway. Clemens kind of a high-strung fella. He banged his right hand against the manager's door this week when there was a discussion about a celebration after the clinching. And it's in there. Good breaking ball to Walt Weiss. Normally a guy like that would get a heater.
I tell you, that's what's impressive about Clemens and Stewart. They are not just hard throwers, they're pitchers. Power, velocity, and control. You know, you look at guys like that and you think in terms of powerful men, but there's a lot of touch and feel and precision involved in these guys' success.
Clemens now with his 3rd strikeout. 1 in each of the first 3 innings. Here is Mike Gallego. Swing and a miss, over swinging on the Clemens fastball up and in. 0-1. Utility infielder Gallego did a terrific job when Weiss was injured at shortstop, when Carney Lansford had his shoulder problems. Filled in more than adequately at 3rd and starting tonight at 2nd base. That pitch is low. The outfield is playing straight away and shallow against Gallego.
You won't see the Red Sox shift one way or another. Even when they're in the field, they're pretty basic and traditional. They don't overshift a lot. Just run 9 guys out there. And Joe says, what time's the game start? Let's go play.
It's got him to this point. Swing and a miss. 1 and 2. Tony La Russa deciding on Gallego instead of the veteran Willie Randolph for this game.
Which was probably the decision that he pondered the most, because Randolph is a pretty good high fastball hitter. I think Gallego's there. La Russa wants the defense in what should be a low-scoring game.
And the 1-2 just misses, and Clemens wanted it.
Don't blame him. Richie Garcia, outstanding umpire, takes charge. Look at him in Garcia in that position. The ball is right there. That's really the first borderline pitch that we have seen call the ball. They
do a lot of that here in Boston when the Red Sox are playing. Breaking ball misses outside, and the count is run full to Gallego. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Gallego hitting .206 on the year, but .250 against Roger Clemens' lifetime. And here's the payoff pitch. Way high, ball 4. So Clemens walks Gallego, a 200 hitter with 2 out here in the 3rd inning. And anytime you give Rickey Henderson a chance to come up, because he's got some power with 28 home runs, they're asking for a little trouble. That's the first base runner for the A's.
Yeah, even the great ones do it. You know what was going through Clemens' mind? 3-2 Gallego. Let me just throw it in there and make him hit it with Henderson in the on-deck circle. You have a tendency to grip the ball a little tight, aim it, and the ball flew high and out of the zone.
Henderson fly to Bernansky on the first pitch of the ball game. And the pitch is low, ball 1. Tremendous on-base percentage for Rickey Henderson.
And not only that, but gets on base. Surprisingly, he leads this team in slugging percentage. Extra base hits, doubles, triples, homers. He is without a doubt their most valuable player this year, and probably will win the award in the American League.
There'll be a lot of support for Cecil Fielder for sure. Henderson may have the edge. Check swing and a foul ball down the right field line. Keep in mind that Gallego is not a big threat to steal. He is not an outstanding base runner, has stolen 5 bases, but has been caught 5 times this year. Rickey Henderson, who likes to muscle up once in a while, has that open stance, and the wind blowing out to left. 1 ball and 1 strike to him. Breaking ball on the corner, 1-2.
You mentioned Gallego, not as much of a threat to steal, but here is a count that Tony La Russa might say, let's gamble. Send Gallego. If he gets thrown out, big deal. Henderson will lead off the next inning. If he's safe, he's in scoring position. High percentage opportunity right here to steal second base.
Not have much of a lead. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and there he goes, and the pitch is fouled out of play. So Tony La Russa was sending him.
One of the things you get trapped into doing as a player or a manager in Fenway Park is you tend to stay back and wait for somebody to hit it in the net. But there you see the sign again. La Russa knows, as Joe Morgan does, 1 run in this game much more important than any other because of Clemens and Stewart.
Normally Tony La Russa will not sacrifice with a runner at first. I know that we don't have that situation here with 2 out, but with first and second he might do that today with the right hitter up. Gallego is off, and the pitch is taken for a ball to throw to second. They've got him. Pena to Jody Reed. On a fine throw, Gallego is erased.
Clemens delivers the ball in a hurry. Close pitch, but here's that high percentage opportunity. But Pena cuts it down with an accurate throw. Reed finishes it off with a nice quick tag.
No score after 2.5, and we'll return to Fenway Park after this message and a word from your local station. Tony Pena leading off. Red Sox catcher hitting 8th. Takes ball 1. Pena, 5-time National League All-Star catcher with the Cardinals and Pirates. His addition, one of the big reasons for the Red Sox success. Slices this out of play.
Yeah, one of the differences in this Red Sox team, and that's why they delight in this underdog role. Tony Pena, Tom Bernansky. See, this club was always kind of aloof, sort of distant in the clubhouse. And now all of a sudden you got free spirits like Pena and Bernansky that have brought this team together. They defy statistics. They got a lot of heart and a lot of fight. Sometimes professional level, you think that's overrated. It's not.
Stewart's 1-1 to Pena. Grounded line foul out of play. And you just have to ask the Red Sox pitchers what kind of an influence Pena has been behind the plate.
Yeah, it's unusual to see a player come into Fenway Park with that kind of spirit, uninhibited about his enthusiasm for the game. In the past, Red Sox teams have kind of taken that quiet, business-like approach.
This style so different from Red Sox teams of the past. The bashers aiming for the wall. Not this year. Pitch is up high and 2 balls and 2 strikes to Pena. On deck, the number 9 hitter, Luis Rivera.
Of course, those that follow the Red Sox regularly remember the saying for years with the Red Sox: 25 players, 25 cads. They didn't hang together and play together as much as this team.
Here's the 2-2 pitch, fouled away. Now they probably take a bus.
Money these guys made. They charter a plane. It's been a great story what they have accomplished in the beginning of the year. No one really gave them much of a chance to win that American League East. Toronto and Milwaukee were the favorites.
Here's the 2-2 to Pena. It's chopped slowly to shortstop. Weiss on the run, throws in time to get the head first diving Pena. Good hustle by Tony Pena, but Weiss handled it beautifully at short. Crowd giving Pena a hand for his extra hustle here.
And Dave Stewart's going to give Walt Weiss a hand. Look, he's one of the more acrobatic shortstops. That's not as easy as it looks, that off-balance throw. And even though Pena showed you some great hustle, that's really not the way you want to go into first base. Coaches will teach you run through the bag. I mean, he almost caught that bag with his chin. You get there much quicker by running through the base, but your enthusiasm tells you it's going to be close. Dive for it.
Well, it got a rise out of the crowd here. And with 1 out, here's Luis Rivera. Fastball hit in the air, deep to left field. Back is Rickey Henderson on the edge of the warning track. And don't be fooled by Rivera. He has hit 7 home runs this year. So he has a little pop. And he almost reached the wall there.
Well, you mentioned the breeze here at Fenway Park, and this ball right here will tell you. I mean, this is a fly ball that Rickey Henderson thinks that he's got measured well ahead of the warning track. And now look how far he has to drift. And that last little jump, he catches that very close to the wall.
Earlier, Willie McGee had problems with a fly ball to center field that sailed over his head at the last minute before he made the catch. Here's Jody Reed, fouled out to Carney Lansford his first time up. Takes a strike. We have not had a base hit. Red Sox hitting with the bases empty, 2 out in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Third baseman Lansford even with the bag. And a line drive to left field. Henderson charges and makes the catch. And a 1-2-3 inning for Stewart. And after 3 innings, nothing across in game 1 of the LCS.
Welcome back to Boston. I'm here on the roof in right field, and just below me there are 4 numbers. They represent the jerseys that have been retired by the Red Sox. Number 9, Teddy Williams. Number 4, Joe Cronin. Number 1, Bobby Doerr. And number 8, Carl Yastrzemski. And if you put all those numbers together, 9, 4, 1, and 8, and converted them into a calendar date, that would be September 4th, 1918. And that is the date of the eve of the last time the Red Sox won the World Series. You know, there's a bit of irony in that, Dick Stockton.
Jim, I'm just hoping that wind doesn't blow, and I want you to get down off of that roof.
Tough on the moss up there at the roof in this high wind.
I've never seen anyone up there. All right, Jim. And Jim, Rickey Henderson leading off in the top of the 4th inning. He was at bat when Gallego was nailed trying to steal. Takes a pitch inside, ball 1. Henderson 0 for 1. No runs, no hits, no errors. Line drive, right field. Brunansky kind of took off on him, but he handled it, and there's 1 away here in the 4th. Well, they're keeping Henderson off the bases, at least for his 2 times to the plate thus far, and that'll bring up Willie McGee for the 2nd time.
Yeah, and that gives you a major start on shutting this Oakland team down, especially in close games like this. Rickey's the guy that make things happen for them.
We were talking to Tony La Russa before the game, and he says, I want Clemens to prove that he has the control. You pointed that out, and he says if he could throw 52 pitches by the 3rd inning, that's a lot of pitches for him. He threw 44 after the first 3 tonight.
Yeah, and he's throwing with such little effort. I mean, the control has been right there. A couple of borderline pitches he didn't get, but he's not laboring at all.
1-0 to McGee, who struck out his first time up. Way behind that fastball. 1-1.
Willie McGee is probably the most unlikely looking hitter for a batting champion. And pitchers and managers will say, just throw him a breaking ball or he'll look bad on fastballs like that. But yet the guy keeps, 335 this year.
Worst looking 300 hitter you'll ever see. And after the high heat, fouled back, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
You mentioned Carney Lansford and all the body movement and hand action, and that's one of the reasons I think that Willie McGee is a 300 hitter. He is very, very quiet, just really simply concentrating on watching the ball hit the bat.
There's Lansford with the bat in the dugout. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Goes after a pitch outside the strike zone. Foul tip held onto by Pena. And that'll be strikeout number 4 for Roger Clemens. And quickly 2 away here in the top of the 4th.
Got ahead with the fastball, and here comes the fork ball. And that's the book on Willie McGee. You get ahead of him, he'll chase pitches out of the strike zone. That's why it's so critical for Oakland to get Rickey Henderson on base and hope that Willie McGee gets some better pitches to hit.
2 down in the 4th. Jose Canseco. Fly to right his first time up. Fastball for a strike. Open stance for Canseco here at Fenway.
You don't see many high average hitters hit with an open stance. Right? You want to keep that front shoulder closed. But of course, Canseco tries to compensate for that by striding into the pitch. Still very vulnerable to that inside fastball.
That looked good to Clemens.
$23 million strike zone right there. I mean, that baby's a touch above the knees and right down the middle.
Talk about his back problems. By June the 6th, before the back really started to bother him, he had 20 homers and 50 runs batted in. That was the first week of June. May have surgery after the season. 2-1 to Canseco.
I mentioned that vulnerability to the inside pitch and the surgery. The back problem is what has kept him from really turning on that inside fastball the way he did in his rookie year and second year.
He connects. He crushes it. Foul back. Good pitch for Canseco to hit.
Gets behind in the count. He's going to guess fastball. You're not going to get a lot of hittable pitches off either of these 2 guys. So when you get them in a hitter's count, 2-1, 3-1, you're going to look for it and have a rip at it.
Dave Stewart, he's got the same look in the dugout as he does on the pitcher's mound.
Got that linebacker stare right there, man. Looks like Mike Singletary.
Ready to nail the ball carrier. Here's the 2-2 pitch. And the count runs full to Canseco. On deck would be Harold Baines for the A's. Clemens certainly doesn't want to face a nemesis, the left-handed hitting Baines, with a runner on base. So he's thinking of this 3-2 delivery coming up.
And what he'll go with, the high cheese, the fastball, or try to freeze him with a breaking ball.
Clemens taking his time. Up high, ball 4. So Canseco walks. Second base on balls issued by Roger Clemens. He had walked Gallego last inning. So a runner at first with 2 out, and that'll bring up Harold Baines. Beautiful night for baseball. Game 1 of the American League Championship Series here at Fenway Park in Boston. Capacity crowd. Red Sox drew over 2,500,000. The A's and Red Sox scoreless. Top of the 4th. This is only the second ALCS game in history in which neither team had a hit in the first 3 innings. Canseco with the lead and the pitch taken for a strike. Canseco stole 19 bases in 29 attempts this year. Got a good pitch to hit there, a fastball right down the middle, fouled off, but Clemens is ahead of Baines. Now 2 strikes. Rene Latchman flashing the signs.
Same situation as last inning with Gallego, and of course we know Canseco has that base stealing ability.
Not sure how his back, not 100%, would affect him. But there he goes, and the pitch is fouled off.
When you get wrapped up in a game like this, and every count, every pitch, little things like trying to steal a base become so much more important. I mean, this is everything that fans and everyone hoped it would be between Clemens and Stewart.
You've had just 3 base runners, all coming as a result of walks. Pena was looking down at Latchman to see the sign. The runner doesn't go, and the pitch is grounded sharply through into right field for a base hit. CANSECO around second. He'll go to third as the throw comes back to the infield, and the first base hit of the ball game. Who else but Harold Baines, the nemesis of Clemens. And now the A's threatened with runners at first and third and 2 out.
And something you don't often see Clemens or Stewart do. This is an 0-2 pitch that Clemens makes a little too good for Baines to get the good part of the bat on the ball, and suddenly the A's with runners in the corners and a chance to score. Most of the time, the successful pitchers on 0-2 will make those good hitters chase a pitch out of the strike zone.
So here's Carney Lansford with an opportunity here to put the A's in front. He popped up to Jody Reed his first time up. Runners at first and third. Foul off for a strike. Greenwell plays Lansford deep in left field. Outfield straight away. Runner at third base is CANSECO. He walked with 2 out. On at first is Baines with the first hit of the game. 0-1 the count to Carney Lansford. And a looper into short right field. Could be trouble, but Reed is there and makes the catch to save Clemens and the Red Sox. No runs, a hit, and 2 men left on base. We go to the last of the 4th inning. Still no score in game number 1. Advertised as a pitcher's duel, and that's what we have. Stewart and Clemens in game 1. Stewart was not allowed a hit, has walked only 1 batter through 3 innings. Clemens gave up 1 hit, has thrown 62 pitches, and got out of a jam with runners at first and third. Here in the Red Sox 4th, Carlos Quintana, followed by Wade Boggs and Ellis Burks. Dave Stewart. Breaking ball, check swing, and Stewart handles it. And Quintana is retired for the 2nd time, 1 away.
You know, some teams make pitchers better or worse than they really are. But in the case of Stewart and Clemens, I mean, these 2 guys are like great racehorses. It's like Secretariat or Sunday Silence. You jump on, dig your heels in, and you're automatically a better jockey. These pitchers elevate these 2 teams to a little bit better maybe than what they really are.
That's why this game could turn on one little mistake, one little nuance that may not appear in the box score.
And those things happen in this ballpark so often, of course, because, I mean, you got to take geometry to play here at Fenway Park with all the angles out there.
Wade Boggs, the hitter. He struck out his first time up. It's a high fly ball to left center field. Way back, way back. It is gone on the screen. Home run for Wade Boggs.
To pitch him up and away and make him hit it the other way. He did. He got it airborne, and with a little bit of help from that wind, got it up in the net. And that's why Wade Boggs and so many left-hand hitters are effective in Fenway Park. They keep that front shoulder in, drive the ball the other way.
Ellis Burks, the batter, takes ball 1. He's a gamer. Wade Boggs is playing in pain with a bad back. Two balls and no strikes to Burks, who was called out on strikes his first time up. So the Red Sox get their first hit, and it's a home run by Wade Boggs, and lead the A's here in the 4th inning, 1-0. Boggs had not been getting that bat around quick enough lately, going to the opposite field. But he looked impressive there. Burks fouls it back on the screen, 2-1.
The other night against Toronto, Boggs pulled the ball into the bullpen, but that's one of the problems with that bad back is bat speed. Usually a much better hitter when he does what he did in that at bat, taking the ball the other way.
Here's the 2-1 pitch. Fastball fouled back. Talk about game one, and a game in which Joe Morgan told us before, he says we kind of need it. Clemens is on the mound. We have to win at least one here at Fenway Park, knowing that that would help their pitching matchup with Boddicker going in 3. Clemens will not pitch with 3 days rest in game 4. Greg Harris will go. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Burks. Rounded to third. Backhanded by Lansford, and there are 2 away.
Yeah, baseball is a game of firsts. First pitch, first out, first strike, first run. They're all the most important, but I don't think there's been a series in recent years where game 1 is as important as this game 1 with the Red Sox leading. If Oakland loses this, the only other time that's happened to them is the '88 World Series when the Dodgers came back. They didn't beat Dave Stewart, but they won the game. A's never recovered.
Mike Greenwell with 2 out, bases empty, 1-0 Boston. Ball 1. Of course, these 2 teams played in the league championship series 2 seasons ago, and the A's swept the Red Sox in 4 straight.
And those first 2 games right here in Fenway were very, very close ball games.
Fly ball to right field. CANSECO drifting back, and he makes the catch. That carry to the warning track, but a home run by Wade Boggs has given the Red Sox a 1-0 lead over the A's after 4. Well, Jim Cott pitched for a lot of clubs in his 25-year career, but the first team he pitched for were the Washington Senators, and you had to pull out all the stops, and Fenway Park was perfect for this maneuver, wasn't it?
Yeah, this isn't a home run ballpark. It's a doubles park, and as a base runner with less than 2 out, you'd like to know if the ball's going to hit that wall or not. So what we used to do with Washington, put a coach out there where Jim Gray is waving that towel, and then he would signal if the ball was going to hit that wall. The base runner knew that he could go ahead and run and score the run. Hey, we pulled out every stop we could with the old pesky Nats.
Didn't you used to have a guy on the scoreboard at Minnesota as well?
The late Clyde McCullough used to drag a telescope out to the bullpen in Griffith Stadium, pick up the signs, lost 5 in a row, didn't score a run.
Terry Steinbach, strike 1 to him. He fanned his first time up, and a ball hit out to right field. It'll drop safely for a base hit. Chasing it is Brunansky, but Steinbach will hold it first. Brunansky gets the ball back to the infield. So the Red Sox lead 1-0, but the A's have the leadoff man on for the first time today, and the second hit off of Clemens. Here's Mark McGuire, who skied out to Brunansky his first time up. Red Sox fans of all ages packing this ballpark. Start them young here, and the tradition, and of course the gloom and doom as the years go on when the Red Sox disappoint. Well, maybe not this year. Big swing. McGuire was looking for Lansdowne Street in left field with that cut.
That game about a week ago, Clemens was in the high 80s consistently, but only a couple times in the 90s. That pitch was 92 miles an hour.
1 ball and 1 strike to McGuire. No one in the last 4 seasons has hit as many homers as Mark McGuire. 153. Those in his first 4 seasons in the big leagues. 2-1, and Clemens is pitching, getting that ball up. McGuire's not biting.
Well, you mentioned that Tony La Russa would not sacrifice with many guys, but this is one of those situations where Clemens has to be careful because Walt Weiss in the on-deck circle is the perfect choice to try to sacrifice 2 base runners into scoring position.
Hit in the air to right field. Brunansky has a play. He makes the catch for the first out. Steinbach, who is halfway, goes back to first base. Game 2 tomorrow. Another reason why this is such an important game for the Red Sox, because Bob Welch 27-6, and very likely Cy Young Award winner against Dana Kicker, who pitched well. The Red Sox had a group of hurlers like Tom Bolton, Greg Harris, and Kicker who did very well this year, but Welsh against Kicker.
Yeah, that 8-9 record, a little deceptive. Dana Kicker, a 29-year-old rookie, finally a chance to pitch in the big leagues.
Getting his big chance tomorrow. Walt Weiss, foul tipped into the glove of Pena, strike one to Weiss, who struck out his first time up.
The one thing he'll miss tomorrow, Dana Kicker, is because Welch is pitching, Ron Hassey will do the catching. So Terry Steinbach, his neighbor from back in Minnesota, won't be playing in tomorrow's game. These guys are good friends, grew up together back in New Ulm and Fairfax, Minnesota.
Up high to Weiss. Weiss has good bat control, and we'll see if there's a possible play on, even with Steinbach, who's not a fast runner, because Gallego is the next hitter.
Yeah, this is where the A's would be most likely to put a runner in motion.
He doesn't go, and Clemens misses. 2-1. Clemens has walked 2 and struck out 4, and has allowed 2 singles, 1 in each of the last 2 innings. And a line drive left center field, but Burks with good speed out there makes the catch for the second out. Steinbach back to first.
It's the life on that fast. Well, that looks like the forkball right there that Weiss takes a low and away pitch, and then you can just see as Burks lopes over Mike Greenwell in the back of your picture there. So important in Fenway Park to be back near that wall, backing up the center fielder in this case.
Here's Mike Gallego, who walked and was thrown out attempting to steal in the 3rd inning. 2 outs, Steinbach the runner at first, 1-0 the Red Sox, and there's a strike. Good story about rotisserie leagues. There was a fan yelling at Mike Gallego recently prior to a game saying, "You're a bum, you're in my rotisserie league and you ain't doing nothing." And he turned around and said to the fan, "The reason I'm not doing well is that I wanted to be traded off of your team." What a great answer, huh? Here's the 0-1 to Gallego, and a line drive past Quintana down the right field line. Steinbach will go to third. Brunansky gets the ball back to the infield, and so for the 2nd straight inning, the Oakland A's have runners at first and third with 2 away. 3rd hit in the game off of Clemens.
Quintana's done a good job. This is his first year at first base. He cannot quite catch up with that one. Good diving attempt, but now you see the A's approach against Roger Clemens. The little guys aren't going to try to pull him. They're going to do just what Gallego did there. Just try to put that bat on the ball.
Tony Pena will go to the mound to talk to Clemens to discuss how they're going to pitch to Rickey Henderson. So far, Clemens has been successful, and Henderson has offered at early pitches against Clemens and has hit the ball to right field twice.
Yeah, you get into that 3rd time at bat. So often baseball people will say, well, the pitcher got tired in the late innings. It isn't necessarily that a pitcher gets tired, but when a Rickey Henderson faces Roger Clemens 3 times in a ball game and he sees that many more pitches, the chances of him timing Clemens go up. So Pena might want to talk about changing the pitching pattern.
Runners at first and third, 2 out. 1-0 Red Sox. Rickey Henderson, dangerous hitter, takes a fastball on the inside corner for a strike. Henderson has been criticized because in the past he hasn't played hurt. And to his credit, a lot of people say he doesn't burn himself out. He knows what he can handle, and that's probably helped his career considering he runs so much on the bases. 1-1. Terry Steinbach, who led off with a single, on at third. Mike Gallego got a base hit past Quintana, the runner at first with 2 away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pitch is just a bit up high, 2-1.
Well, you can see where Henderson checked on that high fastball. The pitch count's getting up there, 77, and that's what you try to do as a hitter, is lay off that high fastball. Make Clemens get the ball a little farther down in the zone.
2 balls and a strike. There's a strike and a good pitch to Henderson, and that's a difficult thing to get it down. The way Henderson crouches at the plate certainly helps the strike zone.
Boy, and this is a little jelly leg knee locker right there. Look at Henderson give way with that front leg. I mean, that is a nasty breaking ball right on the corner.
2-2. Crowd is standing. Steinbach at third, Gallego at first. And a fly ball to right field. Brunansky is there, and he makes the catch. And for the second straight inning, the A's leave runners at the corners. Still 1-0 Boston after 4½. Red Sox coming up in the bottom of the 5th inning, leading 1-0. They've been out hit 3-1 in those beautiful shots of Fenway Park and the Boston area on this beautiful night. Piloting the MetLife blimp for tonight's game, captains Joe Whalen and Corky Bellinger. Red Sox designated hitter Dwight Emmons will lead off here in the 5th inning. He walked his first time up. Complicating his back problems was a myelogram test that Evans took. He was out for 10 games. They had a fluid to check to see any problems in his back, and he was bedridden, suffered dizziness, and was really out of sorts for quite a while. Something he says he doesn't want to go through again. Fastball on the outside edge. 0-1 to Dwight.
I talked about all the players in this series with back problems, Evans and Boggs, Lansford and CANSECO, but the adrenaline takes over in these situations.
Breaking ball in for a strike, and Stewart jumps ahead of Evans. No balls and 2 strikes.
See, and here's where Dewey Evans changes as a hitter. He's looking for a ball inside. First 2. Now he'll go the other way.
Chop to shortstop. Weiss on the outfield grass throws out Evans, and there's 1 away in the 5th inning. Well, people in Boston may know about this, but around the country, you look at on the white on the scoreboard, one of the old-time scoreboards. That's Morse code.
Yeah, and the vertical lines there, you'll see the black symbols, and that's Morse code for the initials of Tom Yawkey and his wife Jean Yawkey.
1 out to Tom Brunansky, and he takes the ball 1. That's like looking at a puzzle to say, try to find the bird. Takes you a while to find it. 1-1 the count to Brunansky. Joe Morgan says, I don't know anything about a computer that Tony La Russa uses.
Yeah. So I just know I got a ball club that winning some awfully big games here in September and early October.
He has done to Boston fans and the media some strange things with his club, with the way he's handled the bullpen, but here they are, and the Red Sox leading 1-0. Pitch is low, and now it's 3-1 to Brunansky. On deck is Tony Pena. Stewart has given up 1 hit, but it's been the difference. Wade Boggs' home run last inning into the screen in left field. He has walked 1 and struck out 2. Here's the 3-1. Curveball in for a strike.
Like Clemens, what makes Stewart a great pitcher there. Fastball situation for Brunansky. That's what he's looking for, but Stewart gets the breaking ball over on 3-1.
And a line drive over the leaping Mike Gallego for a base hit on a check swing. That was a curveball he came back with, and Brunansky has the second Red Sox hit with 1 out here in the 5th inning.
Brunansky's season numbers have not been good, but he's over a 300 hitter in Fenway Park, and he's one of those baseball terms streak hitters. When he gets hot and gets enough pitches down below the belt like that one was, that's when Brunansky's a better hitter.
They acquired Brunansky from the Cardinals. They traded Lee Smith, who was one of the closers, and then Jeff Reardon came back with the back problems, back surgery. For a while, the Red Sox were without a closer in the bullpen, but Reardon has come back incredibly. Stepping off the rubber and looking Brunansky back. The Red Sox do not play a running game. Rarely do they steal and rarely do they hit and run.
But this is a situation they should, because Tony Pena leads the majors in hitting into double play balls, and that's what you want to do with a hit and run. Stay out of the double play.
And he also can go to the opposite field effectively. Dave Stewart has won his last 8 decisions against the Red Sox. 6-1 lifetime in his duels with Roger Clemens, but trailing 1-0 here in the bottom of the 5th inning. One 1-0 the count to Pena. Pena's caught more games than any American League catcher this year. Rack Slider, the third base coach. Could say that name all night, couldn't you?
Yeah, Rack Slider.
Pitch out. Nothing was going.
You know, oftentimes teams don't pitch out twice, back to back very often. So if you're Joe Morgan, right now is the ideal time to turn around and say, okay, let's hit and run. Stewart doesn't want to go to 3-1 on Pena.
And even though Rivera, the number 9 hitter, is on deck, the Red Sox shortstop has delivered some key hits in the clutch this season. 2 balls and no strikes. Let's see if Morgan starts Brunansky. He does not. And the pitch is fouled back, and it's 2-1.
You mentioned Rivera's key RBIs. That's one of the strengths of this Red Sox ball club. Yes, they don't have a lot of guys up amongst the league leaders, but they have 8 players in their lineup with over 50 RBIs. Kind of spread that offensive load around the entire lineup.
La Russa calls it a professional approach by the Red Sox. Good offense, good idea of the strike zone, and from 1 to 9, they've got a good stroke. 2-1 the count. And Stewart just looks Brunansky back to first.
This is when Stewart becomes a little more deliberate and usually a little tougher pitcher with men on base.
One pitch grounded to third. Lansford over to Gallego for 1 to throw to first, and a double play ends the inning in the first double play of this series.
Joe Morgan elects not to go with a hit and run, and Tony Pena adds to that total, grounding into double plays.
And the Red Sox are retired in the 5th inning. We played 5 complete, 1-0 Boston, and we'll return to Fenway Park after this message and a word from your local station. And welcome back to Fenway Park in Boston. Dick Stockton and Jim Cotton. Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. The Oakland Athletics, the defending world champions, trail the Red Sox 1-0 as we go to the 6th inning. Wade Boggs homer in the 4th, accounting for the only score. Their binoculars, their cameras, their hats, and
Stealing signs. Better watch it.
You're still on that, huh? Willie McGee will lead off for the A's. It'll be McGee, CANSECO, and Baines. And if anyone gets on, Lansford against Roger Clemens. Ball 1. Clemens has thrown 20 more pitches than Dave Stewart thus far. 28-year-old right-hander, grew up in Houston, Texas, born in Dayton, Ohio. Spent some time in the Midwest in his early years as well. Ball's behind McGee. 2-0.
That's how Clemens has retired the A's so far tonight. Now, if you're Joe Morgan, you got to pay attention and watch the pitches that Roger Clemens is throwing. He's starting to miss the strike zone and starting to make a lot more movement between pitches with that shoulder as if it might be bothering him.
He misses up high 3-0, and Pena immediately comes out to the mound, something he doesn't like.
Yeah, see, Tony La Russa pays very, very close attention every pitch, but Joe kind of sits back and watches, and all of a sudden, here you're in the 6th inning, 1-0 ball game, and the Red Sox very vulnerable in that middle relief corps, but Clemens is not the same pitcher he was 2 innings ago.
Yeah, it's a tenuous lead for the Red Sox. The A's have left 4 men on the last 2 innings. They got runners to first and third twice in the last 2 innings. And Clemens was able to retire the 3rd out. Now behind 3-0 to McGee with CANSECO coming up, and you'd have to think that Willie will be taking automatically now. Make Clemens throw a strike. And he misses ball 4, and that's the 3rd walk issued by Roger.
See, his control was impeccable the first 4 or 5 innings. And I don't think this is because he's tired. I think there is something wrong. Larry Anderson is going to get up and get ready in a hurry. A new acquisition that the Red Sox got.
Anderson, since coming over from Houston, has been very impressive with his slider and had a string of scoreless innings and a lot of strikeouts. He's been a plus. So Clemens may have some problems. McGee, the runner at first base. Jose Canseco, who was 0 for 1 and walked his last time up. Ball 1 inside, and normally you might want to try something with a runner at first with speed like McGee, but with Clemens hurting right now, it's possible that La Russa doesn't want to take himself out of an inning.
Exactly. I think right in this situation with Clemens struggling, he'd rather see Canseco get a hitter's count, 2-0, 3-1, and let him have a swing at it.
McGee stole 28 bases for the Cardinals.
And Clemens is hurting. There's something wrong right now with that shoulder.
1-0 the count. 5 straight balls thrown to the A's, and now 6. The ball in the dirt gets away, and McGee will trot down to second, and that should go as a wild pitch.
You know, the injury, the tendonitis in the shoulder of Roger Clemens came about because of a duel with Dave Stewart back in early September. See, that pitch, Roger Clemens doesn't miss the strike zone by that much. And one of the reasons he injured the shoulder was he felt, and Bill Fisher, the pitching coach, felt that Clemens was trying, he was so pumped up, trying to overthrow. Front side flies open. First thing happens is that tendonitis right in the front part of the throwing shoulder.
And you know, it was that game on September 4th against the A's when Clemens didn't feel good in the bullpen warming up and tried to overthrow, and then he was throwing pitches into the dirt, and that was the start of what he said, my shoulder's smoking. And now Bill Fisher has come out to the mound.
So he doesn't want to come out right now, but I think Bill Fisher will take a lot of time and say, let's look at the big picture here of this series. Got a 1-run lead in the 6th inning, and if Clemens is going to be able to come back later in the series, they can't take a chance and blow him out right here. I mean, you got to tug him off the mound.
Red Sox already do not plan to use Clemens in game number 4. Stewart will be the A's pitcher in game number 4 in Oakland with 3 days rest. That's what he likes, but not Clemens. Greg Harris has been named for that assignment. Mike Boddicker goes in game 3.
Never ask a pitcher, how do you feel? If he's a good pitcher like Clemens, he's going to lie to you. He's going to say, I feel good. I don't want to come out of the game. If he says, I don't feel good, take me out, you don't want him on your team.
Were you ever honest like that when they came out to the mound?
To be. Johnny Sain taught me early in my career. Never tell a manager when he says, how do you feel, how you feel. Is he going to take me out and then leave me in?
2-0 the count to Canseco. Red Sox lead 1-0, but McGee, potential tying run, is on at second base following the wild pitch. Swing and a miss, and Canseco was going for the downs there.
Wow. Talk about a little bat speed. Well, fastball coming. But he has done this more this year. He pulls off that ball. Head comes up. He has swung and missed more pitches this year than in prior years because of the back.
Fastball in on the edge. 2 balls and 2 strikes. So just when you're about ready to say Clemens is losing it, he comes in with a fine pitch.
Fish had a little miracle lotion in his jacket pocket there we didn't know about.
2-2, Willie McGee, who walked and advanced to second on a wild pitch. Nobody out here in the 6th. Setting up on the outside part of the plate, and the pitch misses up high, and the count is full now to Jose Canseco. Stewart's pitched awfully well, giving up that home run, looking for some offensive support from the A's here. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Ball 4, breaking ball outside, and that'll be the 4th walk given up, and the 2nd straight walk by Clemens. Anderson warming up in the bullpen. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Look at the difference between the starters and the relievers.
Yeah, see, sometimes that goes unnoticed. The Red Sox starting pitchers, not just Clemens, but Boddicker and Kicker and Bolton and Harris, they have the best ERA of any staff in the American League. Oakland second, but then the bullpen, that's where things falter, though Jeff Reardon and Larry Anderson, along with Jeff Gray, have really done a good job in September.
Well, a tough spot right here for Clemens. Not only is he struggling, A's with runners at first and second, none out, but Harold Baines, the batter, he lashed a single to center field his last time up, 1 for 2, and a fastball line right at Reed, and the double play at second as McGee was off the bag. No reason for McGee to drift that far off the base.
Boy, this ball is smoked right here. No bunt situation for Harold Baines. And really all Willie McGee has to do is take one step. There's no chance of him getting back. And you know, those that follow Boston know the book, The Curse of the Bambino. Bad things have happened since Babe Ruth was traded. But in the last few weeks, good things are starting to happen, like the Bernansky catch and that line drive right at Jody Reed.
So there are 2 out, runner at first. And Lansford fouls off the pitch for a strike. So CANSECO, the runner at first base, and a line drive. And McGee found himself a third of the way on his way to third base.
Yeah, that's the toughest one. A ball that's hit so sharply, because just that first step, your instinct, and by the time he did that, he had no chance.
Lansford has popped up twice to Jody Reed. No balls and 2 strikes to Carney. Clemens has had to pitch out of trouble. There's Willie McGee, and crowd looking for another K for Clemens, who would be his 5th strikeout. But Lansford may have other ideas. Game going on, and I guess a problem with the signs as now Pena comes to the mound.
Well, that looked more like the face of a tiger instead of cat and mouse. And you talk about Stewart and Clemens. These guys take this game to another level. I mean, you think about duels depending on your era as a baseball fan. Koufax and Gibson, or say Steve Carlton, Gaylord Perry, Catfish and Jim Palmer. This is one of those kind of nights if you're a baseball fan.
It has been 5 weeks since Roger Clemens has pitched more than 6 innings. He's in the 6th right now. That's how many he pitched against the Blue Jays last week. Did not give up a run, hasn't given up a run here. Here's the setup by Pena. And he wastes that pitch outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That's Jose Canseco. Back-to-back walks. McGee had advanced on a wild pitch. Clemens trying to pitch out of trouble for the 3rd straight inning.
Don't discount Canseco trying to steal second base right here.
And a bluff throw to first.
One and 2 on Carney Lansford, and Tony Pena probably going to call for a breaking ball, which is a much easier pitch to get a jump on and steal.
But you don't want it in the dirt. And a broken bat and ground ball. Jody Reed, or check that, Rivera has no play and everybody is safe. It was a broken bat seeing eye grounder that got past Boggs, and Rivera could do nothing with it, and an infield hit for Lansford.
Well, just a little kitchen shot, the pitchers would say. Got it inside, in on the hands. That's the kitchen. Lansford didn't hit this ball well. Boggs gave it a great effort. Rivera, only one play, just knock it down, keep it in the infield. And even though the Red Sox have the lead and Boggs has the home run, it's Clemens that is being asked to pitch out of more trouble.
A's have left 2 runners on in the 4th, 5th, and they have 2 runners on here. Canseco with the lead at second. Lansford the runner at first. Red Sox helped out by a double play. Baines really scalded that to Reed. Breaking ball in for a strike to Terry Steinbach. He singled down the right field line his last time up. 1 for 2 on the night. Red Sox lead 1-0. The A's have made Clemens work the last 3 innings. Foul back. Put that fastball down around the knee.
You know, another unusual thing about playing in Fenway Park right now, Jose Canseco has to get a little extra lead off second base. Mike Greenwell leads all left fielders in assists. Don't have to have a very strong arm from left field here, but in order to score on a single, you've got to get a much bigger lead than in any other ballpark.
And Rene Lachemann knows that as well as anyone, the third base coach for Oakland. Fly ball to center field, and Ellis Burks is there, and Clemens pitches out of another jam. The A's have left 6 men on base in the last 3 innings, and after 5 1/2, it's still 1-0 Boston.
Welcome back to Fenway Park. Rickey Henderson over in left field has really been taking a beating from the left field fans. They've been hollering at him, taunting at him, screaming at him all game long, and he's been screaming back, giving a little bit back to him. Well, finally, at the end of last inning, he said, "Hey, I can't win this war of words." And he pointed to his feet, pointed to his hands for a bat, and he said, "That's how I'm going to beat you guys. Let's go back upstairs to Dick Stockton."
That's right, Jim. He'd win that war. Rickey Henderson, who had to go back on the warning track for a drive by Luis Rivera in the 3rd inning. Rivera leading off here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Red Sox still leading 1-0. Dave Stewart has outpitched Roger Clemens, but the scoreboard shows otherwise. Fastball grounded in the hole in the left field, a base hit. Only the 3rd base hit for the Red Sox. Rivera on, and the first time they've had the leadoff man aboard.
Wow, this can be a big hit right here for the Red Sox. A leadoff single by Rivera, because yeah, it's not a bad pitch down in the strike zone and just out of the reach of Walt Weiss. But it can be a big hit because we mentioned Boston, a basic, traditional, fundamental team, and that tells you right here, bunt the guy over. Runs at this stage of the game are major, so I would look for Jody Reed to do that right here, but we know Joe. He might have another kind of hunch we don't know about.
Well, the A's are looking for the bunt. There's Carney Lansford in on the grass. Mark McGuire ready to charge as well. Reed is 0 for 2, and most people, especially with Clemens, even though he's been shaky, another run would help the Red Sox cause tremendously as we move into the latter innings.
Said you don't know what Joe might do. One of the things about Jody Reed, he's a little guy, but he's got great bat speed and can pull that ball into the wall in a minute, and he's going to be looking fastball here.
And he's looking to bunt. Breaking ball misses outside, 1-0, and if he gets the breaking ball, of course, on the hit and run possibility, second baseman Gallego was shaded over towards second, so rack slider flashes the signs. Reed has a good part of the real estate on the right side of the infield.
Yeah, everything says you have to bunt here, but Joe didn't read that book. He does things a little differently, and it's worked out fine.
Well, it was in the computer. I think they put that book in the computer, and Joe just doesn't use computers. Lansford has moved in another step, and there's the bunt attempt. Stewart off the mound, has trouble with it, but gets Reed as the sacrifice is successful. And Rivera moves to second in scoring position with 1 out. Sacrifice 1-4. Stewart to Gallego.
Just basic baseball. Stewart with a little trouble handling it, but no problem getting Reed.
Well, the Red Sox with a runner in scoring position. That's the first time tonight the Sox have had a runner at second. They got their run on BOGGS' homer. And here's Carlos Quintana. And he takes ball 1. Quintana has been retired twice on balls hit to the infield.
Here's where the big right field in Fenway Park comes into play, because Quintana hits the ball that way. They could test CANSECO's arm.
Red Sox have bullpen activity again. Fastball, and it's hit in the air to right field. CANSECO hardly has to move. Rivera goes back to the bag at second, but does not go as the throw comes back to the infield. Quintana is retired, and there are 2 down here in the 6th inning. Larry Anderson, who was earlier up throwing, is in the bullpen again. Wade Boggs, he's the difference tonight with the home run in the 4th.
And look where the pitch is. Watch him extend the arms. And so many left-hand batting champions here in Fenway Park. Williams and Lynn and Rummels and Yastrzemski, and Boggs right up there. A little bit of power too.
Billy Goodman.
Hey, 17 of them left-handers have won batting titles as members of the Red Sox.
Boggs has won 5 of them. Rivera, the runner at second with 2 out. Fastball is outside, ball 1. Now Anderson is throwing now. How many times do people talk about not using the bullpen right as far as warming up?
Yeah, that's one of the things where Joe Morgan's come under criticism. He'll get his relievers up and down more than most managers.
Fastball, and Boggs fouling off a good pitch to hit, 1-1.
And most people would say, well, big deal. I mean, can a pitcher just get up and warm up? No, that takes its toll over 162 games. Just getting up, getting game ready. And then you sit down and you cool off and you get up again.
A lot of the relievers haven't liked this arrangement, that's for sure. Pitch is low, 2-1 to Boggs.
See, La Russa has more of a set plan. He's got a great bullpen, the best in the American League. He's got Todd Burns. It's probably out of Burns territory right now. He will go to Rick Honeycutt, the left-hander, or he'll go to Gene Nelson, the right-hander. But when he gets his guys up, most of the time they'll go right into the ball game. He doesn't get any wasted throws down there like Boston does.
Stewart's 2-1 pitch is outside, and of course the one guy the Red Sox don't want to see is Dennis Eckersley, and they won't see him as long as they have a lead in the game.
Yeah, against Oakland, when they have the lead, it's about a 6-inning game. If they've got the lead, then you don't beat them very often.
Time is called. We'll only bring Eckersley in if the score is even or if they're ahead. Three balls and a strike to Boggs on the corner. Fine pitch by Stewart. Right on above the knees. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 2 out. Luis Rivera led off with a single and was sacrificed. Has his lead at second. Fouls it out of play. A rising fastball that time from Stewart.
No indication whatsoever of trying to pitch carefully to Wade Boggs, with Ellis Burks in the on-deck circle and first base open. But Stewart getting it up there in the mid-90s yet here in the 6th inning.
Temperature was 70 degrees when we started. Beautiful night. Red Sox leading. Here's the 3-2 pitch to Boggs. He's out of there. A called third strike. Just where that second strike was. Right above the knees on the outside corner, and Stewart has his 3rd strikeout.
Right on the edge. Look at that stare.
Red Sox get a hit and leave a runner in scoring position, but after 6, Boston 1-0. Totals after 6, the Red Sox 1 run, 3 hits, no errors. The A's no runs, 4 hits and no errors. And Roger Clemens through for the night after pitching 6 innings, allowing no runs on 4 hits. And Larry Anderson has been a terrific pickup for the Red Sox. The 37-year-old veteran, acquired from the Houston Astros at the end of August, pitched tremendously in middle relief in the final month of the season.
The A's haven't scored either, and here's a guy for the Red Sox that has really helped their bullpen, which has not been very effective this year, Larry Anderson.
I want to remind you, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, we'll be right back here at Fenway Park for Game 2 of this championship series. Here's Mark McGwire. Twice has flied out to Bernansky in right field. Now facing Anderson. That slider has really been effective against American League hitters since he's come to Boston.
And there it is right there. You'll see a lot of them. Larry Anderson, who's had a great career as survivor, most effective in the last few years with Houston, and that's where he picked up that little cut fastball or slider from pitching coach Les Moss.
2 balls and no strikes. McGuire will be followed by Walt Weiss and Mike Gallego, the bottom third of the A's batting order here in the 7th inning. And Anderson, in 15 appearances, struck out 25 batters at an ERA of 1.23. Going exclusively outside against McGuire and falls behind 3-0.
Now, you wouldn't think that. You'd think he'd capitalize on lefties, but he's one of those guys that has a lot of success against right-handers, and the bullpen phone is ringing again. You know, I mentioned that cut fastball, and for those that not familiar with that term, that's looks like a fastball to a right-hand hitter, but it moves just away from the right-hand hitter at the last instant.
Tom Bolton, number 50, the left-hander, and Jeff Gray, the right-hander, both surprise stories for the Red Sox this year in their winning effort. There's a strike. 3-1 to McGuire.
Tom Bolton primarily as a starter, but in this short series he will be used as a reliever. Rob Murphy, who's been there all year, has had a very ineffective year, and Morgan will not use it.
Ball 4. So Anderson walks the first batter he faces in a 1-0 game. McGuire trots down to first. And that'll bring up Walt Weiss.
And now most of the time on the road you will not bunt to tie, but Oakland's bullpen's a little different, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Walt Weiss lay down a bunt right here. And Tony La Russa also has a good bench. Got some left-hand hitters over there. Jamie Quirk, Ron Hasse.
And when you consider how well Stewart's pitching against the Red Sox relievers who have not been that steady, the tie game wouldn't look all that bad to Tony La Russa here. But here's Weiss, who has struck out looking and fly to center field. Red Sox looking for the bunt. Boggs creeping in at third. Fastball, strike 1 though. Weiss not bunting on that pitch. Checks with Rene Lachemann, the third base coach. Anderson has appeared once against the A's this year. It was on the night that Roger Clemens came down with his arm problem. Struck out 6 batters in that game, a career high. Looking to bunt, and it's bunted foul back. No balls and 2 strikes to Weiss, and that will dictate a change in strategy.
Well, right there, in one thing, after Weiss misses the bunt attempt and the count goes to 0-2, one thing you have to be alert for now, if you're Carlos Quintana holding the runner on the bag, Anderson throws that cut fastball most of the time, and that's a pitch that Weiss can pull. So you get off that bag and be ready for the ball to be hit to you if you're a first baseman in this situation.
And McGuire can't run that well, so he's really not a threat on the bases. So Quintana may take a chance and not hold the runner on here. Right now he is, though. No balls and 2 strikes. 1-2 now. Anderson broke in with the Phillies, also pitched with the Seattle Mariners and the Cleveland Indians, an 11-year veteran, and kind of a character, isn't he?
Really is. He's in Philadelphia when he played there. They had the Larry Anderson masks. He's been another free spirit in the Boston clubhouse, like Bernansky.
1-2. Ground ball. Reed over to Rivera. The throw to first, not in time. Weiss beats the throw, but there's one away. Right now, let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim?
Okay, Dick, I just had an opportunity to speak to the Red Sox trainer. He said Roger Clemens is fine. He's simply tired, and there's no reason to risk a further injury. He did not leave because of injury. He's only tired. With his normal rest, he will be able to return to the lineup in a couple of days. Let's go back upstairs to Dick.
All right, Jim, thanks very much. And the A's are going to send up a pinch hitter, and a good one. Jamie Quirk is going to bat for Mike Gallego with 1 out, and the runner at first base, McGuire. Quirk, a veteran, has been in the big leagues, 8 major league clubs, good left-handed pinch hitter, having his best year.
Yeah, and here's another valuable role player that the A's have, a guy that's bounced around, played with the Kansas City Royals and the Cardinals, and here he lands in Oakland as a backup catcher, but also a guy that can play a number of positions. He was a highly recruited quarterback in high school, almost went to Notre Dame. Good athlete and a good low fastball hitter.
Game one of the American League Championship Series, billed as a pitcher's duel between Roger Clemens and Dave Stewart. It has been exactly that. Clemens is left after 6 innings and leading 1-0. Stewart has pitched extremely well, and the A's have threatened in the 4th, 5th, and 6th innings, and now with a runner at first and 1 out. Jamie Quirk batting for Mike Gallego, second baseman. Larry Anderson walked the leadoff batter.
And in case you wonder why Joe Morgan would not counter with Tom Bolton right here, because Dave Henderson is back on that active roster, and I don't think he wants Tom Bolton facing Dave Henderson in this situation.
Hardly. Quirk, by the way, is 4 for 11 as a pinch hitter this year. It's a .364 average and a home run. One out. The runner at first is Weiss. 1-0 outside.
Those that did not follow the A's all year, Dave Henderson, their outstanding center fielder, injured his knee in a game in Chicago earlier this year and has just been put on the active list prior to the start of the championship series. There's Hindu.
This is his time of year, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
1-0 the count with 1 out. Fastball on the corner for a strike. On deck is Rickey Henderson, so this is an important batter for Larry Anderson here, trying to protect a 1-0 lead for the Red Sox here in the top of the 7th inning.
Rickey still having fun with the fans down there. 1-0 game, championship series. He's here to have a good time and do a little damage.
He's always liked the attention. 1 ball and 1 strike. There goes the runner Weiss, and the pitch is lined into center field and a base hit. Weiss will go to third base, and Jamie Quirk delivers. The veteran gets a base hit in a pinch hitting role, and the A's now with runners at first and third and 1 out, trailing 1-0.
Well, it's hits like this that make Tony La Russa so proud of his bench. He loves to talk about players like Jamie Quirk that play such important roles on this ball club, because we mentioned Oakland's great bullpen. Just a pinch hit here and a run or two, and you turn it over to Eckersley and company, this game's over.
So Quirk has done his job. He goes out of the game, and Willie Randolph is going in to run. There's Randolph, veteran of many postseason affairs with the Yankees. Came over from the Dodgers. Good pickup for the A's. One of the classiest guys in the game of baseball.
Yeah, and Tony La Russa does not waste a spot here. With Gallego coming out, Randolph will stay right in and play second base.
And here's Rickey Henderson. So a key moment right here for the A's and the Red Sox. 1-0 to score. Henderson was 0 for 3 against Clemens, facing Anderson for the first time. A's have out hit the Red Sox 5-3, but have not been able to get that run home.
A little equipment repair here by Tony Pena. And here is where Rickey can be so disruptive. Anderson just in the game, and this little delay by Pena doesn't help Anderson. He's got some juices going out there. He'd like to get this game going, but Rickey will have a deliberate at bat. He'll step out of the box. He'll try to work that pitcher into a hitter's count and take advantage of it.
Checking the runners for the A's. Walt Weiss is on at third base as a result of the hit and run single. Willie Randolph running for Jamie Quirk, who came through with a pinch hit single. Runners at first and third and 1 out. And here's Rickey Henderson, who against Larry Anderson lifetime is 4 for 8. So he has had some success against the veteran right-hander. A's looking for the fly ball. He'll be a tough man to double up, even on a ground ball to the infield. Ball 1 missing outside with the slider.
Henderson has missed some games, but once again, Oakland players and Tony La Russa like to talk about the hits and the production that Rickey gets in these situations. This is where he has really excelled this year, and is probably why he will be the MVP in the American League.
1-0, runners at the corners. Tying runners at third base. And Anderson steps off. And La Russa was telling us, he says there are a lot of times you look at a player and he has what he called fluff statistics. He says, but what Rickey Henderson has is not fluff. When we need it, he gets it.
As an everyday player, he's been to this team what Clemens is to the Red Sox. No fluff there either.
The 1-0. 2 balls and no strikes the count. Jeff Gray and Tom Bolton still warming up in the bullpen for the Red Sox. Henderson figures to get a good pitch to hit here. On deck is Willie McGee. There's the 2-0. Breaking ball foul back and a good pitch. Good slider that time by Anderson.
Yeah, that's what really has made Larry Anderson such an effective pitcher. We mentioned that cut fastball. See, you're Rickey Henderson 2-0. You're looking for a fastball in the zone, and just at the last minute, that ball takes a little break to the outside. You hit it on the end of the bat. Now, even though Rickey has that great speed, looking for some divine help right there. Even though Rickey has that great speed, Anderson can throw that double play ball because of the cut fastball.
Now the infield in the middle is moved into double play depth. There's the 2-1 pitch. 3-1 now. Three balls and a strike. The A's, 3 occasions tonight, have had runners at first and third and could not get a run home. The 4th, the 5th inning, and here again in the 7th. In there for a strike. Good breaking ball on the inside corner that time by Anderson. Moving the ball around effectively on Henderson. Count is full.
Looks like he almost froze Rickey right here. I mean, this is a hitter's count, 3-1, and you see once again that little cutting action catches the inside corner. Now you're in a situation where Willie Randolph is going to run here.
Time call, and Pena checking to see what happens if the ball is hit to the mound. Where do you want to go with it? The infielders know what they want to do with it.
If you're Anderson right now, ball's hit back to you. You make up your mind before it ever happens. Quick look at third, wheel and go for the double play, or hold it and try to trap the guy at third. Don't wait till it's hit to you.
We'll watch Randolph, the runner at first. Weiss with the lead at third. Randolph does not go on 3-2, and the grounder foul. That time Willie wasn't going. Joe Morgan banking on Anderson.
Another day at the old ball yard, says Joe. I mean, he comes out here. All managers have that little fungo batting practice for a prop. They burn off a little nervous energy. And Joe Morgan's favorite saying is, "What time does the Wago start?" As if he were playing winter ball over in Puerto Rico. And Tony gets into his charts and says, "Who are we playing? Let's set up the bullpen."
Yeah, that book by George Will, Men at Work, really featured La Russa to good fashion in talking about how he manages a baseball team. It was #1 on the bestseller list for many, many weeks. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out. 1-0 Boston. The pitch fouled again out of play. Once again, Randolph was not running. Another veteran trying to help the team win another world title. Randolph, there's Weiss at third. Tying run. Count is full. And once again, a delay and some confusion.
Tony Pena will make a lot of trips to the mound. He'll slow the tempo of a game down, but you can't blame him right here. You want to make sure what to do with the ball, where Anderson is going to throw it. We mentioned Randolph not running. I think one of the reasons, Willie just in the game, lost a couple of steps. La Russa respects Pena's arm, and he wants to give, he doesn't want to end this inning with a strikeout throw out at second base.
Pena has already thrown out 1 Oakland base runner. Here we go again. to center field. Weiss getting set to tag up. Ellis Burks in the outfield makes the catch. Here comes Weiss. Here comes the throw to the plate, and the runner is safe. And the ball and the runner landed at the same time. Going to second base is Randolph, and the A's have tied it up as Rickey Henderson has hit a sacrifice fly and an RBI, and it's a 1-1 ball game.
Now we've seen the Cincinnati Reds execute properly in the outfield, throwing runners out. Here Ellis Burks airmails the cutoff man. Quintana has no chance to cut that ball off. The ball hits Weiss sliding into home plate, and as a result of that throw and missing the cutoff man, Randolph moves into scoring position with the lead run.
And going the mound now is Joe Morgan to talk to Anderson.
You see Weiss sensed that throw was there, ducked out of the way. So even if Burks throws that ball in on the fly, if he throws it low enough, Pena has a chance to make a decision and say cut it off, because even though it was a strong throw, very slim chance of getting Weiss at home.
So the A's have knotted it up here in the 7th inning, 1-1. Helped along by a pinch hit single by Jamie Quirk. Henderson sacrifice fly. Bolton, the left-hander, has sat down, and Gray is the only pitcher throwing right now for Boston. And here's Willie McGee, the switch hitter, who was struck out twice and walked his last time up. That's the fundamental baseball that normally turns a game, and that's one of the reasons why the Red Sox were able to outlast the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, they have been phenomenal in games like this year. We mentioned, despite the statistics, they have won more close pitchers duels than any other team in the American League.
McGee misses the fastball for a strike. McGee is hitting .280 against Larry Anderson's offerings in his career. Willie Randolph, who advanced on the throw to the plate. 2 men out, 1-1. And a ball and a strike to McGee. He's the first player in history to win a batting title without being in the league at the time he won it. An unusual story in the latter stages of this campaign.
In the latter stages of this campaign, what a move by Sandy Alderson, getting McGee and Harold Baines to add to this ball club.
Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Anderson has faced McGee over in the National League when Larry was with the Astros, Willie with the Cardinals. So you can see that the off-speed pitches, chances are he's not going to give Willie a fastball to hit. Here again is that situation where McGee will chase the pitch out of the strike zone.
Here's the 1-2 pitch, and it's popped up. And Greenwell moving over has a play, and that'll do it. But the A's tie it up on Rickey Henderson's sacrifice fly. And after 6.5, we're all tied 1-1. Well, the importance of game one has been magnified. We're all tied 1-1, and now looking at the potential relief situations of both clubs. How do you see things from here on in, Jim?
Well, Dave Stewart is a finisher. He led the American League in complete games. I don't think Tony La Russa will bring Eckersley into this game unless the A's get the lead. You'll see Honeycutt or maybe Gene Nelson. On the other hand, Joe Morgan, I wouldn't be surprised to see him bring Jeff Reardon, his closer, into this game in the 8th inning. He's got to win game one.
Okay, and by the way, Eckersley, between innings, ran out to the bullpen just in case. Willie Randolph has gone in to play second base, replacing Mike Gallego. And here's Ellis Burks starting off the 7th inning, taking a strike from Stewart. There's Randolph. Still can turn the double play and might have lost a little range, but has tremendous savvy out there. He won't hurt him. Foul back, 2 strikes to Burks, who's 0 for 2 tonight.
Give you an idea of what it's like playing for a championship club. Even a veteran like Willie Randolph, when he first went over there, the guy said he played a little bit tight. He was so eager to contribute and show him that he was still a good player. Didn't play as well the first month.
Breaking ball missing away, 1 ball and 2 strikes. On deck is Mike Greenwell with Dwight Evans to follow. They say if you don't get Stewart early, you don't get him. Sailing along now, breaking ball, 2-2 now. Red Sox run coming on Wade Boggs' home run in the 4th inning.
Dave Stewart's done all right for his 16th round draft choice as a catcher by the Dodgers back in 1975.
In tight, and the count is full. 3-2 after Stewart got ahead on the count. No balls and 2 strikes. And he was a linebacker, football linebacker too.
All-American catcher in high school and a linebacker. He's got that linebacker look.
Here's the payoff pitch to Burks. Pops up a fastball up in the strike zone. Randolph calls for it and makes the catch. And Burks is retired for the 3rd time. Well, at the conclusion of tonight's game, Jim Cottonai, mostly Jim, will select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 in the player's behalf to the Special Olympics. You don't mind that responsibility?
I don't want the pressure of picking it in this game, but I'll tell you what, I think it is still to be determined. We haven't seen him yet.
Here's Mike Greenwell. Takes ball 1. He's hit the ball in the air twice and has been retired twice. By the way, the black armbands on the Red Sox uniform, in memory of outfielder Tony Conigliaro, really a hard luck player for the Red Sox who passed away earlier this year. Suffered that tragic beating
right here in this ballpark. Jack Hamilton, right-hand pitcher, then with the California Angels.
2-0, and hops it up to the left side. Walt Weiss has a beat on it, and he makes the catch. Right now what the Red Sox are doing is they're jumping on that rising fastball, and that's playing into the hands of Dave Stewart.
Well, you mentioned Tony Conigliaro. He was a lifter as a hitter. That's why there are not as many home run hitters now. Guys don't lift the ball, they hit down on the ball. That's what Greenwell does. They're trying to get on top of that high fastball and hit down on it instead of lift it up into that net.
2 down to Dwight Evans, who has walked and grounded out. We talked earlier about how the wind was blowing out to the left. Well, now the wind has died down and there is no breeze to talk about.
This guy will try to lift it. Dewey.
Lately, Evans has been working on hitting the ball to center field, and when he does that, he makes good contact. Better hitter in the daytime than he is at night.
Yeah, that's unusual because most players see the ball better at night.
1-0.
I think you're going to see Stewart and Steinbach stay to the outside part of the zone. Evans is a guess hitter. He's going to look for the ball inside and try to pull it.
1 ball, 1 strike to Dwight Evans. Played 18 years in a Red Sox uniform. It's rare that you see a player that long with 1 club anymore. 2-1.
Oh, he mentioned the quiet atmosphere. Dewey Evans was very much a part of that with the Fred Lynn's and Jim Rice's. Even though he's been around a long time, I still think guys like Pena and Bernansky are their leaders.
Fastball hit out to right field, but right at CANSECO, and a 1-2-3 inning for Stewart, who looks as strong now as he did in the first inning. 1-1 the score. 1-1 the score. We go to the 8th inning. Terrific pitching by Dave Stewart. He's allowed only 1 run on 3 hits. Wade Boggs, with his first career postseason home run, gave the Red Sox a lead, and Rickey Henderson with a sacrifice fly last inning tied the score. That's where we are as the A's come up in the 8th inning. CANSECO, Baines, and Lansford against Larry Anderson. Roger Clemens worked 6 innings, allowed a run on 5 hits, struck out 4 and walked 4. And here's CANSECO, who has drawn 2 walks today, takes ball 1 outside.
Speaking of lifting, you know what he's got on his mind, Jose Canseco, and you'll see Anderson and Pena work that ball low and outside. They don't want anything from the middle of the plate in, because Anderson doesn't throw the ball as hard as Clemens did.
He doesn't have that wind, but he doesn't need it. Jeff Gray and Tom Bolton are up again in the Red Sox bullpen. Pitch in for a strike, 1-1 to CANSECO. He's been gun shy with the media. There have been charges, of course, that he took steroids, and there have been brushes with the law. He loves automobiles, and he's had little skirmishes with the speed limit. He says people already have an opinion about me, so what's the use? So he doesn't talk much. Here's the 1-1 to CANSECO. It's low.
But as all his teammates will say, when he's healthy, there isn't anyone in the game that can do the kind of things that he can.
Wade Boggs is playing deep and closer to the line at third. 2 balls and a strike. Ground ball sharply hit into left center field. And the leadoff man is aboard. CANSECO with a base hit. And he's a threat to run with 19 stolen bases this year, and that is hit number 6. Joe Morgan is coming out to the mound. That'll be all for Anderson.
See CANSECO get that slider, that cut fastball just a little bit inside, kind of in the middle of the plate, not on the outside corner. Now Morgan makes the percentage move lefty to lefty.
So it'll be Bolton coming in to face Baines. And the third Red Sox pitcher of the night heading into the mound, and we'll be back to Fenway Park after this. Top of the 8th inning, and the A's are threatening with a leadoff man aboard. So Anderson is scratched off, and the new Red Sox pitcher in the third of the night is left-hander Tom Bolton, one of the great stories of this year. Any really left unprotected on the 40-man roster. No one claimed him. He was brought up from Pawtucket, the AAA farm, on June the 13th. And has had a terrific year, going 10-5.
Had a very serious kidney problem. Thought his career might be over. And what's made him successful is getting that curveball over the plate. And one of the reasons La Russa not making a change with Harold Baines, if Bolton doesn't get that curve in the perfect spot, Baines will pull this ball between the hole, first and second.
Boggs ready to come in, and there's the bunt. And a good one. Boggs has one play, and that's to first, to Reed covering, and the sacrifice by Baines moves CANSECO into scoring position. He is the potential lead run here in the 8th inning.
Wow. Surprise, surprise. Cleanup hitter, designated hitter, but Tony La Russa says 8th inning, even though he's my cleanup hitter, I'm going to bunt.
And that's going to be all. Bolton got the left-hander out, and there are the pitchers left in the bullpen for the Red Sox, and you can now use Gray in there because Jeff Gray is going to come in. Bolton faced the left-handed hitter, and Jeff Gray will come in as the 4th Red Sox pitcher. So Joe Morgan knows how critical it is for the Red Sox in a 1-1 game to try to win game number 1, and he's pulling out all the stops. Well, Harold Baines has not done this very often. His first sacrifice bunt in 6 years. And that raised your eyebrows a bit.
Wow, I'll say, hey, he didn't forget how to do it. But if you're Tony La Russa, why not? When the A's lead in the 8th inning, you know what their record is? 91-2. Only the New York Mets are better than that. They're 79-1. So you get a chance to get the lead in the 8th inning, take it.
Here's Jeff Gray, who stepped in and gave the Red Sox, or Jeff Gray, we should say, and Reardon went out with the back surgery. And he's going to take his time. He's one of the more deliberate pitchers in the league.
He's a vendor's delight. He'll pound that ball into his glove, step off, very slow worker.
Lansford, the batter, 1 for 3 with a single. CANSECO, the go-ahead run is on at second, and the first pitch is a strike.
A nice story. A guy who was given up on by the Reds and the Phillies and has that fork ball like most pitchers seem to have these days. And he's been a big contributor to this ball club when Reardon was out with the back surgery.
Gray was 2 and 4. Phillies gave up on him. Their AAA farm club couldn't use him. 0 and 1 to Lansford with 1 out. CANSECO, following the sacrifice, is in scoring position. Red Sox have bunched their infield, and now Reed moves, and CANSECO's going to try to steal third. Pena's throw is wide, and in at third with a stolen base is CANSECO. Another Pet La Russa move, stealing third base.
Well, and it's more important in this ball club because we mentioned a little tougher to score from second. CANSECO takes advantage of the big motion by Gray. Pena has no chance right there to throw him out. And CANSECO, you think of the Bash brothers, but that's how the A's beat you. Jose CANSECO with that home run power, stealing third base in a key situation.
So the Red Sox now pull their infield in for a possible play at the plate in a 1-1 game. A's have out hit the Red Sox 6-3, 1-1 here in the 8th inning. No balls and 2 strikes to Lansford. Both bullpens are quiet. Good fastball in on the fist, fouled off by Carney.
Now the question here is whether the A's would have the contact play on with CANSECO's speed. You make up your mind ahead of time. If Lansford hits the ball on the ground makes contact and you're CANSECO, you're going. And as a result, with the Red Sox in the infield in, they'll have a shot at throwing him out.
Going to. CANSECO with the lead at third. And there's a looper into right field, and that's going to drop for a base hit. CANSECO will come across and score. And the A's lead it 2-1, and Carney Lansford delivers his second hit of the game. And Oakland, with a run here in the 8th inning, leads it 2-1. And now you've got Dave Stewart, who's very strong, pitching now, and Eckersley if they need it.
And the sacrifice bunt pays off. This ball's not hit well by Lansford, just a little soft fly into right field, but another unusual part of Fenway Park is the expansive right field. Tom Bernansky, who made that great catch down in the corner the other night, no chance to get that little looper.
So with 1 out and 1 on, here's Steinbach, who is 1 for 2 with a single, 1 for 3 actually with a base hit. Pitch outside, ball 1. Lansford is on, and Fenway Park, 35,192 in attendance tonight, is awfully quiet right now. Seven hits for Oakland, only 3 for the Red Sox. Swing and a miss, good heater that time by Gray.
Those that follow this ball club, and most of the Boston fans do so closely, will remember 2 years ago, very similar game. Here's Gray's fastball, gets it right by Steinbach upstairs, but very similar game, #1 game of the '88 playoffs. Oakland scored a run in the 8th inning. Eckersley came on to save it. A's won it 2-1. Stewart started that one. Bruce Hurst for the Red Sox.
Eckersley actually saved all 4 games of that series. Ground ball into the hole, base hit to left field. Lansford will stop at second base as Greenwell gets it back, and Steinbach is aboard. That's the 3rd hit this inning for the A's. Runners at first and second and 1 out, and hit number 8 for Oakland.
Just good contact and well placed. Rivera cheating in a step for the double play, can't get that one to the backhand side, and now Bill Fisher goes to the telephone, but nobody up in the bullpen. And we showed you Mark McGwire's success against right-hand pitchers. Here's a guy that would be very vulnerable because he doesn't throw exceptionally hard, and that forkball is down in the strike zone.
Jeff Lamp and Rob Murphy get up now for the Red Sox. You mentioned Murphy, who was originally their closer. New lease on life. He's up along with Lamp. First pitch misses outside. So this is where La Russa knew that if he could get Clemens out of there and stay in the game, he would have an edge, because the Red Sox shaky bullpen. And that's been the story. McGwire 0 for 2 with a base on balls. Runners at first and second, 1 out. 2-1 Oakland. The A's have gotten the go-ahead run here in the 8th inning. And a fly ball hit to left center field. Greenwell is there. Will make the catch. The runners halfway go back. And there are 2 gone here in the 8th. 2 out. Here's Walt Weiss.
Yeah, just about the time you're Jeff Gray, you get done with McGwire, you say, I got by with kind of a high forkball off the end of the bat. But this little guy right here, hitting 8th, mentioned earlier, has picked up a lot of big RBIs. Only 35 on the season, but it's situations like this where he's excelled.
Runners are at first and second. You look at the big names. People talk about CANSECO and McGwire, the power guys, but it's the Lansfords and the Weisses. And Henderson really making this club go. Pitch in the dirt. Good stop by Pena. No advance as the ball bounds out near to the mound, and the throw to second base, and that was risky for Pena. That was in the dirt, and that very nearly went into center field.
He's having a good time. He likes to show off that arm. I don't blame him. If you got an arm like that, you might as well use it. Good block right there. See Pena with the body movement. That saves a base. As all catchers are trained, they quickly throw that mask off. He sees if he can't catch Lansford sleeping down there at second.
The Count to Weiss is 1-0. Fouled away. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Red Sox broke a scoreless tie in the 4th inning. Wade Boggs with a home run into the screen. Roger Clemens worked the first 6 innings, struggled, but got out of some jams, left the game, and then the A's went to work. Stewart has been a remarkable pitcher tonight, looking for his 9th straight decision over the Red Sox. 9th straight win. Pitch just misses outside. 2-1 the count. A couple of innings ago, Dennis Eckersley went out to the bullpen in case the A's need him. They're leading right now 2-1, and if Stewart can't finish, Eck will be in. Rivera trying to bluff the runner back to second. 2-2 now. Carney Lansford is the runner at second. Steinbach at first base. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The A's have left 7 men on base in this game. Dave Stewart has a lead to work with now and looking for more. Fans want an out. Here's the 2-2. And the count is full, 3-2. And the runners will be off on the pitch. With 2 away, 3 balls and 2 strikes the count to Walt Weiss. If Weiss keeps it going, Willie Randolph, who replaced Mike Gallego at second base, will come up. Jeff Gray, the 3-2. Runners are going, and the pitch misses inside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. And we want to remind you, tomorrow night it'll be game 2 of the American League Championship Series. We'll be with you at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Bob Welch with a brilliant campaign, 27 wins, only 6 losses, will face Dana Kicker. Mike Boddicker, who had to pitch the last game of the regular season and pitch the Red Sox into this LCS against the White Sox, will be pitching game number 3 Tuesday afternoon in Oakland. There's the scoreboard.
And in September, Kicker has pitched some awfully big games after Red Sox losses. Beat the Yankees a couple of weeks ago.
And here's Willie Randolph up for the first time, and he lines it out of play. He's got good bat control and can go to the opposite field. One of the rare right-hand hitters that really has more power to right field than when he pulls the ball. And Bernansky playing rather shallow out there. Randolph hit .257 with 1 homer and 21 runs batted in. Steinbach and Weiss. Lansford with the lead at third. One ball and 1 strike. Tom Bernansky, this is where he's playing in right field.
And as Whitey Herzog was quoted the other day, probably has the best instincts and baseball sense of any player that Whitey's ever managed. That's quite a statement coming from Whitey Herzog. And he has adapted to right field. That's not an easy field to play either. A lot of ground to cover up there. Concerned about the unusual right field line.
He's made a couple of nifty sliding catches though in the last week. Meanwhile, Gray against Randolph. Big batter here. 1 ball, 1 strike, and the pitch is ripped up the middle and backhanded by Reed. The throw to Rivera for the force, and a big out ends the inning. As Weiss is forced at second, but the A's get the go-ahead run. And this was a very big play for the Red Sox with Reed and Rivera combined. Well, Reed was a shortstop last year, but Marty Barrett on the bench. A little jump pass to Rivera and a big out. The A's get the go-ahead run, but leave 3. It's 2-1. Fans are watching from all over New England tonight.
Look like they're standing in the net.
Tom Brunansky facing Dave Stewart and takes a strike on a slider to start the 8th inning. Brunansky 1 for 2 with a single. Breaking ball misses 1-1. 1 ball and 1 strike. The A's have out hit the Red Sox 8-3 and lead 2-1. Swing and a miss on a breaking pitch. 1-2.
You see a little difference between Stewart's pitches in those first 3 innings. Now they're going to be a little bit closer to the edges of the plate. He's not in this situation going to give you a pitch to hit if he can keep from doing it.
There's Lansford at third, getting ready, hugging the line at third. Here's the 1-2 pitch and a pop-up. Maybe playable. Mark McGuire in front of the Red Sox dugout makes the catch, and there's 1 gone.
Now, Oakland's done a great job putting this team together, but a little good fortune doesn't hurt. We talked about Dave Stewart. There's a pitcher nobody really gave much of a chance and hoped for. Duncan got a hold of him. He's won 20 games 4 years in a row. Carney Lansford was going to play first base, and Mark McGuire at third. That didn't work out. Now they're both doing well at the opposite positions, and then the man warming up in the bullpen, Eckersley. That was a guy they didn't plan on as their stopper.
Dennis Eckersley started to throw when this inning began. Rick Honeycutt, the left-hander, is also up, but there's number 43, Eckersley, who's been nothing short of brilliant the last several years. Here's Tony Pena with 1 out. Takes strike 1. Pena 0 for 2, grounded out and hit into an around-the-horn double play. Dave Stewart, who led the American League with 11 complete games this season. It's more innings than any other hurler. Leading 2-1.
Tony Pena playing a little mind game with Stewart and Steinbach, calling for that baseball.
One ball, 1 strike to Pena. Lansford is now even with the bag at third and about a step off. McGuire is deep at first, and he too is guarding the line. There's Carney. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Pena. Fastball up, foul back.
That's the old guard the line defense. Those not familiar with it, that don't follow this game that closely, what managers do, they like to play the first baseman, third baseman on the line. They will give up a single in this situation, but they don't want an extra base hit. They want to keep that tying run off second base.
Dave Stewart has allowed 3 hits, 1 run. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Fly ball on the breaking pitch out to left field. Rickey Henderson has room and makes the catch, and they're out number 2.
And I got to believe Dave Stewart's pretty happy to get that ball back. I mean, you don't throw them all where you want to, but that was a hanging breaking ball that he got by with.
Well, the Red Sox have 1 left-handed pinch hitter, and that's Danny Heap, but they have sent out Mike Marshall on the on-deck circle. The 1 lefty is Heap, who's had back surgery, and the Red Sox are going to go with Mike Marshall, who has really been a forgotten man since he was acquired from the Mets. He had 1 good week when he came in after being on the disabled list, and since then you can't find him.
Well, Joe Morgan in a critical game against Toronto last weekend hit Jeff Stone, who had been called up from the minor leagues. Didn't have a major league at bat. Stone delivered. And if you ask Joe right now, why are you hitting Marshall? Well, I think if Stewart throws him something down, this guy may be able to get it up in the wind in left field and tie this game up. Had a little hunch.
Stewart has retired 8 in a row. They're playing him to pull on the left side of the infield, the outfield more straight away, and Henderson is on the outfield warning track, and a big cut and a miss by Mike Marshall. There's Henderson deep in left field. 2 out, nobody on base. All of the infielders playing back. Marshall pinch hitting for Rivera, swung on and missed. No balls and 2 strikes. Stewart has struck out 3 and walked 1. Risen to the occasion like few others have, and here's the 0-2 pitch, and Marshall lofts one to left field. Henderson charges and has to play it on a hop. And Marshall delivers with a pinch hit single with 2 out in the 8th inning. Hit number 4 off of Stewart. And we're going to have a pinch runner. Randy Kutcher is going to run for Mike Marshall, and he is the potential tying run with 2 out and runner at first, and the top of the order, Jody Reed.
Well, you saw Rickey Henderson come in and play that ball on a hop. That's one of the disadvantages. Yeah, just a little lazy night at the ballpark.
Yeah, she's not concerned with this.
Nah.
35,000 others, though. It's a different story. Here's Reed, takes ball 1 inside. Jody Reed is 0 for 2 with a sacrifice.
You mentioned Rickey Henderson. You play deep. Managers have their outfielders play deep to guard against the extra base hit. And as a result, little soft flies like that by Marshall fall in for singles.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. Misses. And there's really no reason to play that deep in left field.
Yeah, because if it hits off that wall, it's a double anyway.
And you're better off
more doubles hit in this ballpark and the Metrodome in Minnesota than any other ballparks in baseball. Not many home runs. There's only 4 other parks that have given up fewer home runs in this one.
That's where Henderson is playing Reed. 2-0 the count, 2 down. Next runner is Randy Kutcher. Fastball in for the strike. 4 hits for the Red Sox tonight. 3 singles and a home run by Wade Boggs. Missing outside, 3 balls and a strike. Kutcher on at first base after Mike Marshall at single. Former San Francisco Giant. Hop up behind the plate. Steinbach gives chase. He's got a play, and the side is retired. The Red Sox get a 2-out hit and leave 1, and we go to the 9th here at Fenway Park. The A's lead game 1, 2-1. Two to 1 Oakland. Red Sox had a runner on, and here's how Tony La Russa reacted to that pop-up. He wanted the wind to help him here.
Oh yeah, pull it back in, he said. Get the wind to blow it back in, and it did for Steinbach to catch it.
Jody Reed moves from second base to shortstop, and Marty Barrett, who opened the season for the Red Sox as their regular second baseman, is now playing second. Rickey Henderson leading off, takes inside, ball 1. Henderson 0 for 3, but a sacrifice fly in the 7th inning. Driving in Walt Weiss tied the score, and then the A's went ahead in the 8th on an RBI single by Carney Lansford. That's low, 2-0. Dennis Lamp now working in the bullpen. The Red Sox have had several pitchers, some 5 hurlers throwing today, and of course they've used 4 already, including Roger Clemens.
The guy they wanted to use at this stage of the game was Jeff Reardon. They haven't been able to get him up. No lead.
2-0 pitch. It's lined to right center field. The base hit for Henderson. So now we'll see Rickey Henderson on the base paths for the first time this evening. That's hit number 9 for Oakland.
Yeah, and settle in. This will be a very deliberate at bat right here. We mentioned Gray, a very slow worker, and Henderson is going to do everything he can to disrupt that rhythm. Try to put this game out of reach, add a couple of runs.
65 stolen bases for Henderson this year. Caught only 10 times, and most of those caught stealings were as a result of pickoffs. See, his whole attitude is he's not afraid to be thrown out, and once you have that attitude, it gives you an opportunity.
Yeah, he has what all good base stealers will call the base runner's arrogance. You know, the best thing you can do as a pitcher is ignore him. You know, vary your count, hold it once, maybe hold it for 3 or 4 counts and deliver it to home. The more attention you pay to Rickey Henderson, the better pitch Willie McGee will get to hit.
McGee 0 for 3 with a base on balls, and there's the bunt foul off to the left. Henderson, when you look at what he's achieved, has stolen more bases, of course, than Ty Cobb, but did it in half the number of games. He's too short of Lou Brock's career stolen base mark of 938, and he's done that in 1,000 fewer games.
That's why Willie McGee's attempted bunt was a bit of a surprise there. Usually Tony La Russa just lets Rickey steal second base, and then maybe he'd bunt him to third.
So the first leading the wrong way and nearly picked off. That was close.
Just that one step, but such quick reactions by Henderson, and just gets the hand back in ahead of Quintana's tag. He was thinking about it.
Throw to first base. Henderson says others waste their time. They look at a pitcher's move to first. He says, I look at what the move is to home plate.
Yep.
And that takes like, one at bat to do that. One strike to count to Willie McGee. Boggs is playing in at third. Nobody out. 2-1 Oakland. We're in the ninth inning, and there's a good bunt. Gray can't handle it. Throw to first base, not in time. McGee with good speed, and now Henderson is on at second. Runners at first and second, nobody out.
Now, one of the ways the Red Sox have stayed in games and won close games is making these routine plays. Gray never gets in position, never gets over in front of the ball, and with McGee's speed, you can forget it.
Sacrifice and an error charged to Jeff Gray, and Joe Morgan is out to the mound, and he's got CANSECO, and Lamp is going to get the call now, and that'll be the fifth pitcher of the night for the Red Sox. It's still 2-1, and Morgan's trying to do some magic tricks to keep the Red Sox in this thing. New pitcher for the Red Sox is Jeff Lamp, and he'll be facing Jose CANSECO, and he hit this shot in the LCS last year in the fifth deck of the Sky Dome in Toronto.
Swing and a high, deep drive to left field. If that stays fair, that is gone. And you can tell it goodbye into the upper deck.
And that gave the A's a lead they wouldn't relinquish, and they won that game and then won Game 5 to move into the World Series, where Oakland won the World Championship over the Giants.
Last year with a home run, this year by stealing third. A lot of ways he can contribute to victories.
And the new pitcher is Dennis Lamp. He's a veteran, making his fourth trip to the LCS. Right-hander has made one start this year. Pitched for the White Sox, the Blue Jays, on the roster of the Red Sox, but did not appear in '88. Right-hander facing CANSECO. The base runners on at second is Henderson. Willie McGee is on at first base. Nobody out.
Dennis Lamp came up as a starter with the Cubs in the late 70s and has always had the same repertoire. Good sinker, good slider. And one of the reasons Morgan wants him here is he wants a ground ball.
CANSECO has been on base 3 times tonight. 2 walks and a single his last time up. 2-1 the score. The A's lead. Slider is outside. Ball 1. MVP in the 1988 season with a remarkable 42 homers and 124 RBI. Trying to give the A's a lead. There's Henderson trying to steal the third. The throw to third. Safe. So that's the second time that an A's base runner has stolen third tonight. CANSECO did it last inning.
A third base really is the easiest base to steal, and nobody does it better than Rickey Henderson. Why? Because they don't pay as much attention to you. Don't give you quite as good a look as a pitcher. The runner's not in front of you, and as a result you get a much better jump off the pitcher. Pena with no chance here tries to throw him out from his knees. Accurate throw, but not in time.
Now the infield is in for the Red Sox. CANSECO takes it inside, and of course when you're on at second base and you're facing a good power hitting right-handed hitter, the infield has to play back, and a chance for a big lead and a chance to beat the third baseman of the bag.
Quick discussion right there. I think some instructions for Rene Latchman from Tony La Russa. What he wants Rickey Henderson to do if this ball is hit on the ground. Probably just a reminder, if it's hit on the ground, pay close attention to where it's hit. This would not be an automatic double play. You know, in normal circumstances, if you're a runner at third, the ball's hit on the ground, you just go home, break up the double play. But with the infield in, I don't think you'd want Henderson to do that.
Reed and Barrett, shortstop and the second baseman, in to confer with Pena. Nobody out, and the Red Sox have to cut off that third run. Eckersley throwing in the bullpen. Effortless motion by the Eck has developed into a great relief pitcher. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Chopped foul, and it's 2-2 now to Jose Canseco. Oakland A's on the first step of their march. They hope to win their second World Series in a row. In their 3 seasons atop the American League West, they were never more than 3 games out of the division lead. They have been a consistent powerhouse. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Runner at first is going. Pena looked, throws to second, and in at second is McGee. Willie McGee with a stolen base. Pena had to honor Henderson at third base before the throw. And that's the third stolen base by the A's tonight. Runners now at second and third, nobody out, and the count is full 3-2. Lamp taking his time, and Canseco steps out for the moment. Crowd has been quiet for a while. The Red Sox had a 1-0 lead. A's tied it in the 7th, moved ahead in the 8th. Threatening again here in the top of the 9th inning. Shot hit to center field, and Henderson will score easily after the catch. Here's Burks going to third with it, and McGee will get to third. Henderson scores, and the A's now lead it 3-1. And for Jose Canseco, an RBI. And there's one down.
Well, is this an example of Oakland A's championship baseball or what? You know, over 162 games, you win a fair share of games with the home run ball. But you usually win championships with pitching, defense, and good fundamental play. And think about tonight. Bunting guys over with guys like Harold Baines, getting a sacrifice fly from Rickey Henderson. Just the little things that's created this 3-1 lead.
Baines is going to be walked intentionally, and so the right-hander Lamb can pitch to Carney Lansford. And of course also set up a possible double play. But you mentioned at the very top when people talk about the bashers, you know, and all of the guys that get the big play for the Oakland A's. You talked about fundamentals, pitching, and defense.
And that's the way they win. In this game, we talked about the importance of it, and the quiet crowd right now tells you the disappointment. But if Oakland wins this game, the reason game 1 was so important, they win again with Stewart. You know, this club doesn't just want to win. They want the stamp of greatness put on this ball club. And by winning game 1, just another step toward trying to make this a short series.
So Baines is on at first base. That run was charged to Jeff Gray. Clemens, Anderson, and Gray have each been charged with giving up 1 run tonight. And here is Carney Lansford, who drove in the go-ahead run for the A's last inning with a single to right field. He's 2 for 4 tonight. McGee is at third. The infield is playing in still. Baines the runner at first with 1 out. Sinker misses low, ball 1. 3-9-0 for Oakland, 1-4-1 for Boston. Pitch inside, 2-0, and looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th inning, the Red Sox will send up Carlos Quintana, Wade Boggs, and Ellis Burks against Dave Stewart, although Eckersley has been warming up for the last 2 innings. Two 2-0 to Lansford. In there for a strike with a slider.
Thought right here, bringing the infield in really helps Carney Lansford just get a ground ball through and produce another run. And with Lamp being a sinker ball pitcher, I thought Morgan may want to gamble and at least play Barrett and Reed back a few steps and try to turn a double play.
Grounded foul. Baines not an exceptionally fast runner on at first base, and so the Red Sox could play the percentages that way.
Every manager has a little different approach. Some automatically bring that infield in at all times. Others will gamble in situations like this and play them at double play depth.
McGee with the lead at third. Baines at first. Ground ball down the line. Fair ball into the corner. McGee will score, and it'll be a ground rule double as it touched a fan. So it'll be a two-base hit for Lansford. Stopping at third base will be Baines. And Carney Lansford has driven in his second run of the game, and it's now 4-1 Oakland.
Carney Lansford has the hat trick, but none of these are really hit that hard. BOGGS, who's had a great year at third base, just misses picking up that ball. No chance for two on that one, but a little indication of how the ball, which has bounced right for the Red Sox in the last couple weeks, is not bouncing right tonight.
So it's a 4-1 ball game. 10 hits for the Athletics, 3 of them by Carney Lansford. And a pinch runner now. Blankenship is going in to run. Lance Blankenship, outstanding base runner, is on at second. Congratulations to Baines. A great addition he was. Blankenship is at second base. Runners at second and third, one out. And Steinbach swings and misses. He has a couple of hits tonight. Many of the crowd of 35,192 with a 4-1 Oakland lead start making their way to the exits. Red Sox have one more at bat against Stewart, trailing 4-1.
Not very encouraging when you fall 3 runs behind against this ball club. I mean, the atmosphere here was just as everyone wanted it with Clemens and Stewart, and once Clemens left after 6 in that vulnerable area of the Red Sox bullpen could not hold that lead. It makes for a very long, quiet night for Boston fans.
Here's the 1-1 pitch with one out, fouled off. What does that do to the psyche? The Red Sox knew that with Clemens they needed to win. Joe Morgan said we need to have Clemens win the game. Now if it goes on the way it is, they don't get the win. 1 ball 2 strikes to Steinbach. And there's the ball lifted out to left field. It'll drop for a base hit. 1 run scores. Blankenship will be held at third. And it's now a 5-1 game. Blankenship scores, and going to third base is Lansford. So it is now 5-1 in favor of the A's, and they have virtually put this one away.
Steinbach and Lansford, guys down at the bottom of the order. Even Mike Gallego with a big hit in the 7th inning. So up and down the lineup, the A's getting production.
Here's McGuire taking inside. Lansford the runner at third. Steinbach at first. 3 hits and 3 runs here in this inning. Nera, 2 stolen bases. The A's are doing it every which way here against the Red Sox. That's a strike, 1-1.
Yeah, the one thing that Joe Morgan just hoped for is that somebody could hold them off to get to Jeff Reardon. Jeff Reardon's been a remarkable story for Boston. They didn't even expect him back surgery in early August, but he's come on to be very effective in the last 10 days of the season. Couple wins, couple saves.
McGuire swings and misses, 1 and 2. The A's with single runs in the 7th, 8th, and 3 runs here in the 9th inning, taking a 5-1 lead. 11 hits against 5 Boston pitchers. But tomorrow they have Bob Welch going, their 27-game winner. Even Welch admitted that Stewart would be the guy to pitch game number 1. There was no question there that Stewart, who likes to pitch with 3 days rest and could pitch if they need him 3 times in the series, would pitch the opener here.
Yeah, it's not very often that you think of a pitcher as a leader on the ball club, but Dave Stewart's a little unusual. Here's a guy playing in his hometown. Many players don't like to play in their hometown because of the distractions. He's taken advantage of it. Very active in the community, very big part of Oakland, and respected and loved by his teammates. He's really one of the great leaders on this team.
Runner on first, Steinbach was running, and it's fouled back. 3 balls and 2 strikes. We're in the top of the 9th inning. Game 1 of the LCS, the pitcher's duel, turned out to be a showcase for Dave Stewart. And the Red Sox bullpen could not hold down the Oakland A's. Roger Clemens worked the first 6 innings. Runner goes, in the pitch all the way to the backstop. And another run's going to come across. Lansford with the 6th run of the game for the A's. And Joe Morgan's coming out of the mound, and everything's unraveling for the Boston Red Sox here in the 9th.
It's getting ugly for Boston. As the last 3 innings now, the A's continue to expand that lead. Just little things like this. There's a ball that under normal circumstances Tony Pena would catch. But the whole tempo and the style of play by the Red Sox has gotten so deliberate and slow, and almost like they're playing a defensive game in the last 3 innings, and little mistakes like this keep opening up that lead for Oakland.
Pass ball charged to Pena, and that'll be all for Lamp. And Rob Murphy, the left-hander, is coming in. Pitcher number 6 for the Boston Red Sox in game 1. Back here at Fenway Park, and Rob Murphy, the left-hander, is on. 6 pitchers used by Joe Morgan tonight. Murphy had a tough regular season, 0-6 and a 6.32 earned run average. Left-hander facing Walt Weiss, a switch hitter who's batting right-handed for the first time tonight. Runners on. Steinbach and McGuire. 6-1 the score as the A's have bashed through with 4 runs here in the 9th inning. The count is 2-0 to Weiss. He is the 8th man to hit for Oakland. Two balls and no strikes as the A's putting on a clinic.
Yeah, when you open up, when you start a game like this and you're Oakland, you go up and down the bench and say, boys, let's get into their bullpen. Let's get Clemens out of there and get into their bullpen. That's where they're vulnerable.
Here's the 3-0 pitch. Ball 4. He walks him on 4 pitches.
You know, and then once that happens, it gives the whole team the feeling, once Clemens went out of that game, gives the whole team the feeling that now we're going to just take over this ball game.
Takes a strike. One of the big hits tonight for the A's was Jamie Quirk, the veteran, with a pinch hit single that set up Rickey Henderson's tying sacrifice fly in the 7th inning. 1 out, 0-1 the count. That's low for a ball, 1-1. And Henderson waiting on deck. And if you look at it from the Red Sox underdog standpoint, this is kind of the worst kind of defeat they could have. One in which they had hope, they were leading, and their ace was doing well.
Yeah, there's nothing more disappointing or tiring than playing in a ball game like this. Even if you're standing out in the outfield, this is a tiresome kind of game. You're all revved up, a lot of adrenaline. Clemens is going, you got the lead, and then all of a sudden it's like the last 3 innings have taken a month.
Ball and 2 strikes to Randolph. Foul ball behind Latchman.
The one thing that Joe Morgan will look forward to is, you know, 2 years ago when the A's came in here and won 2 games, they went out to the West Coast and got 5 runs in the first inning off Bob Welch. That was the only bad game that Mike Boddicker pitched in about a month. So Joe Morgan's still very hopeful that if they can salvage a game tomorrow night, they still have their number 2 starter going in game 3.
Well, we said the Red Sox needed to win one of the first 2 at Fenway Park to really have a shot in the series. And of course, this was the game with Clemens going that they theoretically had the best chance of winning. You look at Kicker and Welsh, you say that obviously wouldn't be a great chance, but it's their only one now to avoid going out to Oakland down 2-0. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Check swing, base hit to left field. 1 run will come in, and that's all as Greenwell bobbles it. But McGuire was holding at third. Scoring is Steinbach, and it is now 7-1 in favor of the A's. Everything's falling in.
Yeah, even a check swing. Randolph trying to hold up on the swing and just bloops it into left field between third and short.
Number 24, the left fielder, Rickey Henderson.
And it gives Rickey Henderson another chance. There's Randolph. Bases are loaded with one out. And here's Henderson, who was 1 for 4 with a single, sacrifice fly, and a stolen base. He stole third here in the 9th inning.
If you're a Red Sox fan, Red Sox player right now, you look to tomorrow night and you say, well, they've never expected us to win all year, but somehow we have seemed to come up with a win when we've had to. And that would be tomorrow night.
It would be. Here's the 0-1 and a shot hit to center field. Base hit. 2 more runs will come across. The throw to third base, and out at third base is Willie Randolph. Try to go to third. Walt Weiss scores. Mark McGwire comes in.
And a merciful out for the Red Sox. They have not been able to get anything to go their way here in the 8th inning. And there the throw is actually behind Willie Randolph. And BOGGS just reaches out and Terry Cooney says, got him on the bottom of the spike.
Barely. There it is. And on at second base is Henderson. There's a shot hit out to right field by McGee, and Bernansky makes the catch to retire the side. 11 men come to the plate and 7 cross the plate for the Oakland A's, who breeze 9-1 going to the bottom of the 9th. And Dennis Eckersley is going to get an inning's worth of work. Brilliant performer with 48 saves this year.
Boy, look at that high earned run average, 061. Tough year. He's walked 4 guys too. I mean, Eckersley is absolutely amazing. Jody Reed says when you go up to hit against him, if you don't hit the first pitch, which is the best shot you've got, the at bat's over. It happens so quickly. The Red Sox have faced him 3 1/3 innings. 10 men have gone to the plate. They haven't had anybody reach base against Eckersley yet.
7 runs for the A's in the 9th inning, ties an American League Championship Series record for most runs in an inning. Carlos Quintana, Wade Boggs, and Ellis Burks against the Eck, who pitched once upon a time here in Boston. Here is Quintana, who is 0 for 3 tonight. Red Sox have managed 4 hits, 3 singles, and a home run by Wade Boggs. Swinging at the first pitch, and a fly ball hit deep to right field. CANSECO is there and makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 out in the 9th.
Well, oftentimes, you know, managers will say when you're down 8 runs, only chance we have, boys, take a few pitches, get a walk. No sense in doing that against Eckersley. And the best shot you'll have is strike 1.
Here's Boggs, first career postseason home run. Into the net in left field, the opposite field. Otherwise, he has struck out twice tonight. First pitch is in for a strike. Eckersley turned 36 years old 3 days ago. He's found a new life as a reliever. He's worked out his personal problems. Line drive to right field, caught for the second out by CANSECO. And now the Red Sox down to their last out.
I mentioned a little good fortune that the Oakland organization has had. They didn't have plans for Dennis Eckersley to necessarily be their closer at one time. It was going to be Eric Plunk. Eck didn't really relish going to the bullpen, but he tried it. Finally got in that right mental state of mind that you have to be a reliever after you've been a starter.
Eckersley married a Boston girl, wife Nancy. They're in the process of adopting young boy Jake. Hasn't seen the youngster in 4 weeks, so he's glad to get back to the Boston area. He's really turned his life around. Had problems with alcohol. He's gone through rehabilitation. He says it's still a battle, but he's winning it right now. Broken back ground ball, fair ball down the right field line, and Burks on his way to second. And he's in there with a double, and the second extra base hit for Boston.
A small consolation for the Red Sox, down 8 runs. That's the first base runner they've had reach against Dennis Eckersley this year. A little broken bat down the right field line that McGwire can't quite catch up with.
Mike Greenwell.
You mentioned Eckersley turning his life around and also his career around. You know, you look at that motion and you ask hitters what makes him so effective. He's got a little bit of an unusual motion, the way he kicks that leg almost into the glove. A little tougher to pick up the ball.
Mike Greenwell takes a strike.
And then see right there, that first pitch gets on you, and then after strike one they start getting out toward the corners. It seems like the at-bat happens so quickly.
Ground ball to second, and this should do it. Willie Randolph makes the play, and the ball game is over. The Red Sox get a hit and leave one, and the Oakland A's have won the first game of the American League Championship Series 9-1, breaking it open with 7 runs in the 9th inning. And we'll be back to Fenway Park as the A's congratulate each other.